Chapter 401. Tianshui Port relies on Tianshui City and sea trade. It is very prosperous. It was a famous trading port before the war between Penglai and Ying. However, 2 months ago, Ying started a war with Penglai, and Ying's merchant ships are prohibited from docking here. They don't have to hide all the way. After entering the 9th Prince's sphere of influence, the Mu caravan's ship docks openly. A group of military teams is waiting for them. The leader is a deputy general. He greets Mu Qingshan and directs people to carry things. They still claim that they are transporting grain. The Mu caravan supports the front line with grain free of charge. Shipwrights secretly praise the Mu family for their loyalty to the country. Although the front line of the war is not far from Tianshui City, Tianshui Port only prohibits Ying's merchant ships. It is related to the daily attacks of several inland cities, so the port is still very busy. The deputy general's surname is Wu. He is the 9th Prince's henchman. Receiving this batch of heavy crossbows is obviously of great significance. His dark face is happy and relaxed. However, when he sees Sang Yi without the cyan phoenix birthmark coming down from the ship with the Mu family, Lin Luoran sees that Deputy General Wu's mouth is crooked. Lin Luoran can't bear to see the iron-blooded soldier twitching, so she turns her eyes to one side. The port is prosperous. Shipwrights and merchants come and go. Most of them are grain carriers. Although the name of Tianshui City is moving, in fact, the water drilled from the deep well is alkaline water. It is very astringent, not to mention the hard land. Lin Luoran has already talked about it with her spiritual mind on the ship. The saline alkali land can't produce food at all. She doesn't know why Ying spends so much effort to attack it. There is a man selling hand-rolled noodles on a pole. Lin Luoran stops him and buys a bowl. The noodles are very chewy and the scallion oil is also very fragrant. However, the water used to cook the noodles tastes astringent. Lin Luoran takes a few bites and chats with the vendor. She asks about local legends. This is already the extreme north of Penglai. It is extremely stuffy and even the sea breeze is salty. The port is either shipping or unloading goods. It is dirty and messy. Everyone's clothes are sweaty. They have never seen a woman like Lin Luoran who looks like she comes out of the deep sea. They all surround her to sell their goods. Buy candy and get fruit? Lin Luoran hasn't spent all her money yet. She holds a bunch of small things in her hands, such as fruit, candy, and egg pancakes. These are all legends she has heard along the way. Lin Luoran feels helpless. The Mu family has finished their goods and invites Lin Luoran to go to the camp with them. Mu Qingshan certainly did not dare to ask her to leave before the 7th Prince's business was settled. Seeing that Lin Luoran still doesn't stop him, Sang Yi says in a deep voice, "I am ordered by my father to reward the frontline army. Go and inform the 9th brother to accept the decree." "You go and lift the curtain to have a look." She doesn't answer respectfully as he expected. It seems that she is still questioning his identity. Sang Yi is quite annoyed and he is secretly surprised that Lin Luoran doesn't stop him. Is this woman really fearless? Someone lifts the curtain with a spear. Several people look at him. Sang Yi seems to be very calm, but his palms are overflowing with fine sweat. He has no proof of identity at this time, and the mark of Cyan Phoenix is also covered by Lin Luoran. If the 9th Prince doesn't admit his identity and executes him as an assassin, he will inevitably be blamed by his father after returning to the capital. However, he is already dead. What's the point of fighting? Sang Yi steals a glance at Lin Luoran. This female warrior is very calm. She is the strongest woman he has ever met. He doesn't know how she joined the 9th brother's camp. Sang Yi suddenly feels scared. Is it because the army in the north has been completely controlled by the 9th brother that the female warrior is not afraid? "I am the 7th emperor." The word, prince, is still in his mouth when the curtain is suddenly put down. He is not in this carriage. Let's go and have a look elsewhere. Sang Yi's mouth is dry. How is it possible? There is a bonfire in the barracks and 2 living people are sitting in a narrow carriage. Are these patrolling soldiers blind? He turns his head to look at Lin Luoran. She smiles sweetly. In this dim light, she looks like a charming banshee. Well, it seems that you have to choose the latter method. What should I do? It is the first time for me to use it. The human brain is very important. If I am not careful, I will become an idiot, Sang Yi shudders. She is not a warrior at all. The strange scene happening in front of her is already strange. She is talking about directly reading thoughts in the brain. It is obviously sorcery. Do you mean that you once read an old book in a dilapidated attic in the palace when you were a child about a spirit mountain with the same name as the country? The night wind blows the curtain. Sang Yi nods and his forehead is full of sweat. Lin Luoran ponders for a moment and her slender fingers knock on the carriage a few times. What about the book? Did you burn it? Sang Yi is stunned. He was thinking about how to make Lin Luoran believe it. Why does she ask it herself? It doesn't matter if it is burned or not. As long as the people who have read it are still here. Who knows if you are lying or not? It seems that I have to use the old way to verify it. Lin Luoran's fingertips burst into a subtle brilliance. Sang Ye's eyebrows jump. You can't read my thoughts directly. You want to find that spirit mountain. If I become an idiot, you can't find it. It has a lot to do with me, with the cyan phoenix birthmark between my eyebrows. I have been looking for it all these years. The brilliance in Lin Luoran's palm goes out and she somewhat believes Sang Ye's words. If talking about Spirit Mountain is nonsense, the probability of knowing the name of Penglai is very small. The cyan phoenix birthmark between Sang Ye's eyebrows is really weird. It is not dyed but naturally formed. Let's go. We will set off right away. Lin Luoran jumps out of the carriage and Sang Yi follows her slowly. He finds that people around turn a blind eye to them and he really gives up. Lin Luoran looks at the brightly lit tent not far away. Finally, she has a clue about Mount Penglai. Of course, she is not in the mood to deal with these mortal things anymore. There is a small tent assigned to Mu Feiqiang. Thinking of getting along with Mu Feiqiang for more than a month, Lin Luoran thinks this girl is a little arrogant, but she is kind. It is rare to see a lady who is flexible. Lin Luoran smiles and leaves the box with 12 flower hairpins. She leaves a note and takes Sang Yi out of the camp easily. They go to Tianshui City where they came from. Chapter 402. Lin Luoran spends 5 taels of silver and asks for 2 superior rooms in the inn. This place is close to the harbor. She opens the wooden window and feels the salty sea breeze. The porridge is made of rice. There are crystal goose breast, sauced beef, and more seafood dishes such as loofah scallops and roasted sea cucumber on the table. From west to north, Lin Luoran has crossed the territory of Penglai. She knows a lot about the prices here. Such a table alone costs 1 tael of silver. 3 taels of silver including board and lodging is not expensive at all. More or less, it is affected by the war. Such a good room near the harbor must be more expensive than this. Lin Luoran picks a pickled melon with sesame seeds. It is sour, salty, refreshing and a little spicy. Eating it with porridge can suppress the astringency. Sang Yi is now a royal family in dire straits. He has a bumpy journey and works as a servant every day. He is still very reserved when he sees delicious food. Lin Luoran doesn't abuse prisoners. She asks someone to bring hot water for Sang Yi to take a bath. She casually changes into new clothes bought by a servant in the inn. She is the handsome 7th prince again. Now we can talk about Mount Penglai, Wang Yao said. Lin Luoran makes a cup of hot tea. It is the best tea Guanyin. The soup is golden and it tastes refreshing. Sang Yi takes a sip and frowns. I have never drunk this kind of tea. Sang Yi puts down the teacup and makes a conclusion. You are not from Penglai. Lin Luoran neither nods nor denies. You have been looking for Spirit Mountain these years. You must have gained something, right? Sang Yi shakes the teacup. I will take you to Penglai. What about my benefits? Lin Luoran frowns slightly. The 7th prince is putting on airs again. Sure enough, some people can't eat good food and wear good clothes. He was quite honest when he was doing hard work on the sea. She flicks a spark from her fingertips and it goes to the teacup in Sang Ye's hand. Sang Yi hurriedly drops the teacup. The spark swallows the fine porcelain teacup. The cup and the water evaporate in front of Sang Ye's eyes. I don't mind killing when necessary. Not to mention that your words are not true. If the cyan phoenix birthmark is useful, just cut off the flesh between my eyebrows. Don't test my bottom line. Lin Luoran leaves the guest room and goes to another room. Sang Yi is still in shock. How can a person's fingers emit fire and the flame is so powerful? She wasn't a martial arts master at all. She was more like the immortals recorded in the old books he read when he was young. Sang Yi takes a delicate tube from his hair bun. He is not sure whether to send a signal or not. He was able to return to the palace from the imperial mausoleum, and he dared to use the garrison troops to rob and kill the merchant caravans. Of course, he did not lack forces and supporters in the dark. Even in the northernmost Tianshui city, there were several hidden posts. Sang Ye's hesitation at this time is not only because of Lin Luoran's powerful strength. He suspects that this is also an opportunity for him to ascend to the throne. If she can really find Mount Penglai, it won't be too difficult for her, right? Sang Ye's eyes flashed, but he still hid the iron pipe in his hair bun. After a night of cultivation, Lin Luoran feels refreshed when she opens the door. It's still early in the morning and the sea breeze is mild. There are people selling hot dumplings at Tianshui port. The grain transport ship is unloading goods. The boatmen have been working for half a day. A bowl of steaming dumplings can relieve their fatigue for half a day. Sang Yi thinks for a night and finally decides to cooperate. The first thing he says to Lin Luoran is, "We need to prepare dry food and water." Lin Luoran is eating a bowl of dumplings with chili oil. She nods vaguely and asks Sang Yi to have breakfast. People on this continent don't eat chili. Sang Yi only smells a kind of spicy fragrance. Looking at the red soup, he chooses the clear dumplings. The two of them eat dumplings. Lin Luoran gives some silver to the inn servant and someone prepares food and water for her. This is mainly for the sake of Sang Yi. She has space. Even if she doesn't eat or drink, she won't starve to death as a bearing essence cultivator. Where is that place? It used to belong to Penglai. It was occupied by Ing hundreds of years ago. It will take more than a month to travel by land and we have to pass by the place where the two countries are fighting. The waterway is twice faster and it is easier to find it. Then let's go by water. It will take more than a month to travel by land. Penglai used to have a large area. Unfortunately, its descendants are not up to expectations. Almost half of its territory has been lost. Sang Yi has said that he is going to see. The inn servant wraps the dry food in craft paper. It is all cakes and steamed buns so that they can stay for a long time in the sultry weather. There are also several bags of fresh water. They are all packed in leather bags. Sang Yi seems to think it is too little. Lin Luoran lets him carry all the water and they go to the port. He wants to find a big ship. Lin Luoran ignores him. She buys a small fishing boat and goes out to sea after the big merchant ship. The seventh prince frowns. He thinks of the storm on the sea. How can this small boat resist it? But now Lin Luoran is in charge and he doesn't express his opinion. He remembers that she fished for sea fish on the deck that day. He wonders if Lin Luoran doesn't care about raw food. Or immortals don't eat. Maybe she is just a warlock who knows how to make elixirs and camouflage? The boat goes to an uninhabited place. Sang Yi suddenly sees a delicate bone boat in Lin Luoran's hand. It is a delicate model about an inch long. Sang Yi only sees a flash of light in Lin Luoran's hand. The small bone boat grows with the wind and becomes as big as the fishing boat they are on. Sang Ye's pupils shrink. The soldiers in the camp can't see them and the fire from her fingers to burn the cup is just a camouflage. What about this jade-like bone boat? It is impossible for her to hide such a big boat with her. Sang Ye's previous doubts have disappeared. Lin Luoran is either a monster or an immortal. He just doesn't know why she is looking for the spirit mountain. Lin Luoran is keenly aware that the arrogant seventh prince becomes docile. She has a tacit understanding and drags Sang Yi onto the bone boat. She casts a spell and the bone boat shoots out like a sword. It surfs on the vast sea. Sang Yi has long been stunned. The bone boat is extremely fast. Occasionally, it passes by a group of merchant ships. Those fast merchant ships can only see its shadow in the corner of their eyes. It should take 7 days to travel. However, it only takes less than 1 day to see the land where Ing has passed. Lin Luoran needs to take the sailing route into consideration. Otherwise, it will be faster. They set off from Tianshui port in the morning and arrive at Ying in the evening. Sang Yi can't even imagine such a speed before. When he is eating fried pancakes at noon, Lin Luoran is eating steaming grilled fish with the red oil seasoning in the morning. It is very delicious. She also makes a watermelon out of thin air. When she asks Sang Yi to eat it, he doesn't eat it. No one knows where this watermelon comes from. Sang Yi is still naturally cautious. Lin Luoran doesn't point it out. She quietly boards a boat near a port in Ying according to Sang Ye's words. Different from the lush Tianshui port, this new port is not small but it is a little depressed. Lin Luoran feels strange. When they get on the shore, the inns on the street all drive them out as if they are avoiding the plague when they hear her accent. In the end, the owner of a carriage and horse shop can't stand the temptation of money and arranges a bed for them. The peddler's mule and horse neighs in the yard. The owner brings them steaming vermicelli soup. Unlike the inn, the carriage and horse shop are originally a place for small businessmen to rest. Everything is simple. Lin Luoran doesn't need to rest, but Sang Yi, as an ordinary person, has to sleep and eat. Lin Luoran can't be picky. Thinking of the depression in the city, she asks the owner. The middle-aged man is a little scared and tells Lin Luoran that a plague has broken out in Ying and it is spreading to coastal cities. Therefore, the people in the city are very wary of outsiders. Chapter 403. To the north of Xinlin City, there is an endless saline alkali land. The harvest is already small and the plague is rampant. Lin Luoran and Sang Yi have seen many empty villages along the way. It's summer and there is a big pit with black smoke on the roadside. A disgusting burnt smell goes straight into people's nose. 9 out of 10 houses are empty. No one has the patience to harvest the listless wheat. Most of the saline alkali land is barren and there are dead bodies burning in the big pit. The poor people in ragged clothes did not even have a straw mat to wrap their bodies with after death. Their black and swollen faces were filled with unwillingness to take another look at the blue sky. Of course, they would never have such an opportunity again. A torch was thrown down, and the smell of burnt human flesh was unbearable. Lin Luoran's idea of riding on the sword gradually fades away. This white saline alkali land seems to have some kind of power which makes her smile freeze and her speed is getting slower and slower. Mount Penglai, which she has been pursuing for more than 10 years, is close at hand. However, the balance in Lin Luoran's heart gradually tilts. It is another uninhabited village. She finds a thin little girl under a locust tree. Her lips are black and there are small red spots on her wrists which represent the symptoms of plague. She is very thin but her cheeks are swollen and ugly. When Lin Luoran finds her, the little girl is already dizzy because of fever. She barely opens her eyes and there is a glimmer of hope in her turbid eyes. She murmurs for her mother. When Lin Luoran squats down, the little girl sees her face clearly. She is very disappointed and closes her eyes again. Lin Luoran's heart stagnates. In front of her is Mount Penglai. Why is there such suffering in the world? Isn't this the spirit mountain Pure Land? The empty houses she sees along the way are like repeatedly brewing sadness. Lin Luoran's heart is sour and a tear falls on the neck of the little girl who is infected with plague. Sang Yi, who is silent, looks at her in surprise. He probably never thought that the mysterious, powerful and cold Immortal in his heart would also cry. Lin Luoran picks up the little girl and has made a decision in her heart. Sang Yi takes 2 steps back quietly. Immortals are powerful but it is extremely fatal for him to be infected with this plague. Lin Luoran chooses a bright and shady mud wall. She lays some clean straws on the wall and puts the little girl on it. Lin Luoran checks the little girl's body with Reiki. She finds that the little girl's vitality is dim, and there are some black strands wandering inside her body, preventing the fresh cells from necrosis. This must be the cause of the disease. Just like the ubiquitous gray fog on the earth, the principle of treatment is very simple. When infected with viruses and bacteria, the immune system of the body can't defeat the invading virus. With the help of Lin's Wacken, the cells will be full of energy and it will be easy to turn the tide. However, there are countless civilians infected by the plague in Ing. Lin Luoran wants to cure them one by one, but she doesn't have enough wakan or time. For the first time, she felt the wonderful use of space. Under such circumstances, it was a life-saving treasure. Lin Luoran can even make elixirs. Her understanding of medical cases is far better than that of ordinary doctors. After checking the girl's body, she has a general prescription in her mind. Of course, it was not a problem to save one person, but if she wanted to save the others, she still lacked a major ingredient. Of course, the medicinal herbs in front of him were not the main point. The little girl is dying. Lin Luoran can't wait for her to boil the medicine. Lin Luoran decides to save her with wakan. Sang Yi only sees Lin Luoran put her hand on the little girl's wrist. A green light flashes and Lin Luoran withdraws her hand. Hopeless. Lin Luoran glances at him. The indifference in her eyes makes Sang Yi stiff. The wakan she injects is fighting with the virus. It stimulates the vitality of the little girl's cells. After a quarter of an hour, the little girl's skin overflows with a layer of black stinky sweat. This is not marrow washing but detoxification. Lin Luoran touches the little girl's forehead. The fever is gone. There is still some poison in her body but her life is not in danger. I'm going to change her clothes. You don't want to see it, do you? Sang Yi stays away from the mud wall and wanders at the entrance of the village. Lin Luoran casts an earth spell and a deep pit appears on the ground. Lin Luoran gestures and a clear spring appears in the dry saline alkali pit. She throws a fireball into it and it has become a pool of bathwater with a suitable temperature. Lin Luoran takes off the little girl's dirty clothes and burns them. Then she puts her body into the pool. Lin Luoran finds a few kinds of traditional Chinese medicine in space and kneads them in her hands. When she spreads them out again, they have been baked into powder. Lin Luoran sprinkles the powder into the pool. She feels a little bit of the medicine and is satisfied. The little girl is skinny. She has not eaten anything since she was left in this village. Lin Luoran sighs. She takes out the pot and cooks a bowl of mushroom and lean meat porridge for the little girl. The rice is produced in space, the mushroom is freshly picked, and the lean meat is a small piece of monster meat. It is full of wakan. It is warm and not dry for the thin body of exhausted vital energy and blood. It is very suitable for the little girl. The fragrance of rice slowly wafts out from the earth stove. Before the porridge is cooked, Lin Luoran finds a dress bought for her by Li Shi'er from space. She removed the thread, cut it, and moved the needle. Soon she had 2 sets of dresses suitable for 6- or 7-year-old girls. When Sang Yi smells the porridge and comes back, he finds that there is a soup pool near the mud wall. The thin, dark, and ugly Ing girl has woken up. Her face is still a little swollen but she has changed into a silk dress. Her sparse yellow hair is tied into 2 small sugar buns with a hairband of the same color. She is staring at the pot of meat porridge. Sang Yi has sharp eyes and finds that the red spot on the little girl's wrist has faded, leaving only a trace that is almost invisible. How did she do this? She is Shime. He is Sang Yi. The little girl holds Lin Luoran tightly with one hand and doesn't let go. She asks in a hoarse voice, Sister Lin, did silkworms eat mulberry leaves? Sang Ye's eyes twitch. Lin Luoran explains in a gentle voice that Shime is illiterate and doesn't understand the difference between the two. Fortunately, she finally decides to call Sang Yi brother. The 7th prince feels relieved but he also feels weird. Lin Luoran is the same generation as Lin Luoran. God knows how many years she has been cultivating. How shameful she is to ask the little girl to call her sister. The mushroom and lean meat porridge has become cold. Lin Luoran fills a bowl with porridge in a porcelain bowl. After being hungry for a long time, it is easy to eat too much. Therefore, she only lets Shime drink 2 small bowls of porridge. Compared with dry food, meat porridge is more delicious. This is the first time for Sang Yi to eat Lin Luoran's food. The royal family enjoys the dignity of the world. Even if he is disliked by his father since he was a child, no one dares to skimp on his food. However, Sang Yi has never tasted such delicious meat porridge. The soft and sticky rice, the fresh and fragrant mushrooms, the soft and chewy unknown lean meat, The main dish and the ingredients, the combination of meat and vegetables, the soft and hard, and the clear and distinct aroma of the ingredients. If only these 3 ingredients were used, even an imperial chef with decades of experience might not be able to cook it. Shimei holds the bowl and suddenly cries. Lin Luoran thinks that the child is not full and comforts her gently. Shimei intermittently says that she misses her mother and brother. Lin Luoran's eyes dim. The people in this village are all gone. Those who don't leave are all dead. Even though she is a bearing essence cultivator, she can't return Shimei's mother and brother to her out of thin air. Mother is not dead. She said she would wait for Shimei in Shin City. Sister Lin, where is Shin City? Where is Shin City? Lin Luoran looks at Sangyi. The cold 7th prince is drinking porridge. He is so flustered that he almost chokes his windpipe. The place we are going is under the jurisdiction of Shin City. Lin Luoran nods and smiles again. She asks Shimei why her mother and brother go to Shin City, but she is left in the village. Shimei is young, so she can't speak clearly. She just repeatedly says that there is medicine in Shin City that can cure the disease. There are also very fierce people who drive away the uncles and aunts in the village, including her mother and brother. Lin Luoran is confused. Is Ing rescuing the civilians in these epidemic areas? Humans in the 21st century have known that the plague is a large-scale infectious disease. For example, Huaxia did try its best to save the civilians in SARS 1 year. Is there anyone in power in Ing who is so bold? If so, Lin Luoran admires them more. Even arrogant and indifferent Sangyi is a little moved when he hears that Ing spreads medicine in Shin City and isolates the source of infection. Obviously, Penglai doesn't have the courage to deal with such a plague. The weather is sultry. Lin Luoran extinguishes the firewood, but she doesn't bury the soup pool. There are a lot of life-saving powder in it. If some infected people are lucky enough to encounter it, it can also save their lives. Mount Penglai is in the same direction as Shin City. It makes Lin Luoran feel that she can have the best of both worlds. Maybe the plague disaster ahead has been effectively controlled. However, she has an intuition that things are not so optimistic. Lin Luoran still finds a gap. She lets Shimei and Sangyi fall asleep halfway. She escapes into space and sows a lot of Gastrodia alata on the vacant land in space. Chapter 404. On the way, Lin Luoran meets some infected people who are still alive. She is anxious to get to Shin City. She leaves some powder to those who can take care of themselves and forces medicine to those who are in a coma. She also meets dozens of people who need treatment. After all, it is delayed. When the 3 of them arrive at Shin City, it is already dark. It is strange that there are torches outside the city wall, but there is no light in the city. The city was heavily guarded, so it made sense for it to be used as a quarantine zone. However, it doesn't provide food and the people in the city are left to die by themselves. No doctors are sent to treat them. What kind of isolation area is it? There is no food, let alone medicine. Heavy troops surrounded the city so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. The original buffer zone between the moat and the city was now packed with civilians. These people are not infected. If there is a slight sign of disease, they will be thrown into the city mercilessly by the soldiers. There are only more than 10,000 healthy civilians, but there are 30,000 elite soldiers. The infected people in the city are separated by the high city wall. In these days, they have eaten everything they can and they only rely on the well water to survive. Lin Luoran knows the truth with her spiritual mind. She is furious. Who says that the ruler of Ing is not bold? This was clearly a very bold move. They wanted to gather the infected civilians together and eliminate the plague in one fell swoop. The city wall has long been poured with black kerosene. It is unrefined oil and it will burn as soon as it touches the fire. It seems that the general who leads the troops is struggling between his conscience and the monarch's order. He hesitates to give the last order to burn the city. Lin Luoran is glad that she is not late. Sangyi is a little sarcastic. He knows that Penglai can't transport food and medicinal materials for tens of thousands of people when there is a war in the front line. Penglai can just burn it and block the news. In this way, Penglai can be blamed for the casualties. However, the high-level officials of Ing can save time and effort. They are even more ruthless than he is. Just when she is standing not far away and watching, 2 more civilians are thrown into the city because of red spots on their bodies. The crowd is in a commotion, but it soon calms down under the threat of the soldiers' shining swords. Someone carries a wooden bucket to serve porridge. Regardless of the size of the earthen bowl in the hands of the commoners, there was only 1 spoonful of porridge. The porridge was so clear that one could count the grains of rice in it. A man in ragged clothes, who was in decent shape, suddenly smashed his bowl and raged, "Only 2 meals of rice soup a day? Are you trying to starve everyone to death?" There were sparse responses. Most of them were people who were dressed slightly better. Before the disaster, these people were all rich people with little assets. They didn't live a life of 2 porridge a day, and they didn't have enough power and money to leave Shin City. They took the lead to make trouble, but the people around them were timid and didn't respond as expected. They did not have the meekness that the commoners at the bottom of society had after being oppressed. There were already commoners in tattered clothes staring at him with sympathy. This person suddenly had a bad premonition. Sure enough, the soldier who was serving porridge sneered and crushed the bowl he knocked over. He said coldly, "This person is sick. Throw him in." The rich man in the dark purple tattered silk robe had a terrified expression on his face as he defended himself loudly, "I'm not infected, don't malign me." "Humph, everyone says he is not infected. How can you believe this?" The commotion was controlled to a certain extent. People have been used to this kind of people who don't accept their fate these days. The rich man was tied up by the soldiers and put into the city from the ladder. The loud thuds proved that the soldiers' movements were not gentle. Lin Luoran doesn't want to watch anymore. She has just carefully scanned outside the city with her spiritual mind. In the buffer zone of the moat without water, Shimei's mother and brother are not there. They were either chased into the city or killed. She hopes it is the former. Lin Luoran turns her head. "Do you want to follow me in or stay outside?" Sang Yi takes the initiative to express his position. What a joke. Stay outside and eat porridge? He already knows that Lin Luoran can cure the plague. Without the worry of being infected, he is still willing to stay with Lin Luoran. In an environment without water and food, it is the wisest choice to stay with an immortal who can make water and all kinds of food out of thin air. Seeing him nod, Lin Luoran grabs his waist and throws him into the city wall. The remaining force makes Sang Yi, who has recovered his martial arts skills, fall to the ground awkwardly. Especially when he sees Lin Luoran holding Shimei in her arms and coming into the city, he can't help but purse his lips tightly. This immortal seems to be kind-hearted but also very vengeful. It can be seen from her attitude towards the strange little girl and himself. The 7th Prince Sang Yi quietly makes a conclusion for Lin Luoran. He is 70% right. "Look, someone is flying in. Are you dazzled because you have been hungry for a long time? I'm very awake." When Lin Luoran flies into the city, she doesn't use the mini-world to hide her figure. Many starving people see her clearly. Civilians talk about it. Soldiers and officers mutter that these people are crazy. At this time, no one will enter the city unless they don't want to live. Even so, the news is still reported to the higher authorities. The general who leads the army this time is thoughtful. Someone flies into the city? He knows that only when one's martial arts reach a certain peak and with the support of internal force can he learn Qigong like climbing the ladder, which is similar to walking in the air. Why does such a strong person suddenly come to Shin City? The general is dubious. He asks people to investigate whether there are civilians spreading rumors and waiting for an opportunity to mutiny. The commoners swore solemnly, but it was true. Although the sky is dark, the figure in white is particularly conspicuous. 2 soldiers see it with their own eyes. These civilians don't fabricate it. The general is shocked, but he is calm on the surface. He is about to appease the civilians as usual and release the progress of the royal doctor's research on the plague treatment. Suddenly, a colorful light bursts out of the dark city. A female voice spreads to the outside of the city through the thick stone wall. Within 3 days, whoever burns the city will die. The general stares at the colorful light. What kind of treasure is that? Is the woman speaking the powerful warrior who just entered the city? How could a single person stop a military order? How preposterous! Civilians are noisy. What? Burning the city? Are they also going to be burned to death? The general is also looking forward to what kind of strength the female warrior can show. He doesn't want to give the order to burn the city at all. They are 40,000 civilians and they are the people of Ing. As a man, his sword can only be used to kill the soldiers of the enemy. He should not use it to kill civilians. The general looks at the direction of Shin City with hope. As he imagined, the scene of establishing prestige does not appear. The previous female voice is a little hesitant. I need 100 women who can cook. Do they need women to enter the city? At this moment, who dares to enter the city? Civilians all retreat. However, the women are soft-hearted, especially those whose families are locked in the city. They are a little hesitant. The general asked the women and found out that their families were either dead or locked up in the city. If they can't escape death, it will be good for their families to reunite, right? Some people think about it. In the end, more than 100 women also entered the city. Give me 3 days to save them. More than 100 women have been released into the city. The female voice says the last sentence, and then there is no more sound. It is like a drop of water in a pot of hot oil. Save them? Who is she going to save? Does she save everyone? The civilians' numb nerves are touched. Is there anyone willing to save humble people like them at the risk of her life? She must be lying. Hey, you must be lying. Many people want to shout this question out of their chests, but it finally leads to inexplicable tears and expectations. If they can live, who will want to die? If they can live, the light of the torch trembles in the night wind. The city wall is covered with dark kerosene. Once touched by a spark, Shin City will be engulfed by fire in an instant. Chapter 405. Those women entered Xinqing in fear. The ground was full of plague patients. However, unlike what they expected, the air in the city is not as dirty as they imagined. However, it is still dark. Only the direction of the governor's mansion is brightly lit. Food has been running out for a few days. Even the sweet potato skin that can be eaten in the city has been eaten raw. Even the door panels have been smashed, not to mention a few rice shops that are infected before they can be taken away. People in despair are most likely to show their nature. Before Lin Luoran comes in, the city has become a source of sin. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, she would never have thought that the plague patients are not only helping each other but also some villains. They gather a group of troublemakers to occupy the governor's mansion. They grab food, bully the weak, and abuse others. Lin Luoran first casts a few large-scale cleaning spells to draw out the dirty air in the city. She burns the filthy air with fire. The governor's mansion covers the largest area and it is in the center of the central axis of the city. It is the most suitable place for Lin Luoran's plan. Lin Luoran drives out a group of troublemakers who are also sick but still try to dominate the city. She takes Sang Yi and Shimei into the governor's mansion. More than 100 women see a woman in snow-white clothes standing on the high wall of the city from a distance. In the darkness, the lights of the governor's mansion are as bright as day, guiding them to walk forward. They don't forget to look for familiar faces among the infected lying on both sides of the street. In the end, there are too many patients and they are full of footsteps. Most of the searching eyes are in vain. There are also those who are lucky to find their families. They no longer care about the purpose of coming in. They run to the old man or their son and wipe their tears frequently. Lin Luoran doesn't urge them. She scans with her spiritual mind and has found people who are suspected to be Shimei's mother and younger brother in a low shed in the west of the city. Most things in life are not going your way. Lin Luoran sighs quietly. The woman has no breath. Even a true immortal can't save her. However, the 3-year-old child is protected by her body. He is in a daze because of the burning. Lin Luoran asks Sang Yi to take Shimei to find her brother. With his martial arts skills, he should be able to come and go freely among the patients in the city. The pitiful Shimei, along with her 3-year-old brother, was cured of the plague. How were they going to live? Lin Luoran sighs. Seeing that the women are walking towards the mansion of the governor, Lin Luoran casts a spell of gold. Everyone in the city cooks. The mansion of the governor instantly becomes a big magnet and many ironware fly towards Lin Luoran. These women were the most superstitious. When they saw this scene, they all believed that a true immortal had descended into this world. They were all terrified and uneasy, including those women who had stopped for their loved ones. Some of them took the lead to kneel down and kowtow. He was mumbling nonsense about fairies and bodhisattvas. He lay on the ground and trembled, losing the courage to move forward. This is different from the previous cleaning spell and shouting in the air. The mansion of the mayor is in a prominent position. All the sane patients in Shin City have witnessed this scene with their own eyes. Even the soldiers and refugees outside the city widen their eyes in disbelief. There is no martial arts skill that can cause such an effect. Is it really the mercy of immortals that they show up again after abandoning Ing for thousands of years? The general leading the troops, the ruffian soldiers, the indifferent and pitiful refugees, everyone who saw this scene had huge question marks flashing in their hearts. Who on earth is she? Saving people is the most important thing now. Lin Luoran sees that the women are hesitating and she is embarrassed. She has to give an order first. The fairy is right. The women no longer doubt Lin Luoran's ability at this moment. Thinking that their loved ones can be saved, these timid women are full of strength again. They get up from the ground with strong footsteps. Their eyes may be the most determined and clear moment in their lives. Lin Luoran is a little relieved to see this. She selects a big iron pot from a pile of ironware and scatters the others back to their original places. In the huge courtyards of the governor's mansion, there are about hundreds of big iron pots left. She prints again. This time, the flying pots are branches, wooden boards, tables and chairs scattered everywhere in the city. They are shaken by Lin Luoran and become firewood piled up like a mountain. It is quite laborious to pile up the earth stove. It takes 3 stones to build an earth stove. Lin Luoran makes a lot of effort. In short, when more than 100 women and Sang Yi rush back to the governor's mansion one after another, they see hundreds of big pots that have been set up in the courtyards. They are all filled with clear drinking water. Under the earth stove, the firewood is neatly placed. What a real immortal does is mysterious and unpredictable. No one dares to greet Lin Luoran. They don't even dare to look at her. Sang Yi asks, "Are they going to boil medicine in the pot?" Lin Luoran shakes her head. Porridge? Well, isn't the first thing to do now? If Lin Luoran's means didn't shock everyone just now, someone would definitely say that her action is putting the cart before the horse. How can people who have been hungry for a few days drink medicine directly? Their stomachs are cold and it will only waste their strength. Besides, if they relied on medicine to treat the illness, unless it was a panacea, there was absolutely no way that a bowl of medicine would be able to cure the illness. This was a plague. If she doesn't provide food for these 30,000 people, they will starve to death before they are cured. Thinking of the many rice harvested in the space, Lin Luoran suddenly feels that she is really lucky. Lin Luoran asks the women to make a fire and she flashes into the space. The fire phoenix is good at calculation. It secretly thinks how much power of faith Lin Luoran will harvest this time and it is very happy. Lin Luoran hasn't thought of this yet. She just wants to save them now. Running to the second floor of the cabin, Lin Luoran opens those wonderful drawers. Each of them is like a vast and boundless storage space. If only one kind of thing is put in it, Lin Luoran suspects that it can even hold a mountain. It seems that it can never be filled. For example, one drawer is used by her to put monster meat. Some are piled up with common medicinal materials. Another drawer overflows with white rice when she opens it. In addition to the vegetables she usually harvests, she may only need to harvest Gastrodia alata and plant 2 rounds of rice in the next few days. It will be enough for everyone in the city to live. The premise is that they all have to eat porridge. Fortunately, there are other flavors to choose from. When Lin Luoran reappears, rice flows out of her fingertips and piles up on the ground. Excluding the infected who have died, there are at least more than 20,000 people in Shin City. 1 or 2 rice can be used to cook 2 taels of rice. If it is changed into porridge, it can be used to cook at least 3 taels of porridge. That is to say, Lin Luoran has to take out at least 2,000 pounds of rice for a meal to barely feed 20,000 people. The women are so surprised that their eyes almost fall out when they see that she takes out 2,000 or 3,000 pounds of threshed rice out of thin air. The white rice is lying on the ground, followed by some vegetables such as cucumbers, cabbages, eggplants, pumpkins, winter gourds, shiitake mushrooms, fungus, and some red tomatoes. They don't know what they are, but they probably know that they are also vegetables. Cook these rice into vegetable porridge. The women are so timid. Their eyes are red and they hold the white rice in their hands in disbelief. Most of them have never seen such good rice in their lives. In the past, only the landlords in the city or the countryside could eat it. Their mother is dead and Shimei is coaxing her younger brother. Lin Luoran finishes the work. She holds the child who is about 2 or 3 years old and treats him first. When Lin Luoran leaves the yard, the women are not nervous anymore. They wake up and wait for the water to boil. They put the rice into the pot. One of them takes care of several big pots and starts the fire. They are very busy. Sang Yi secretly calculates. The rice is white and uniform. It is even worse than the tribute rice used in the palace. As the 7th prince of Penglai, he always feels strange to use it to save the people of Ing. What is strange about it? He can't tell for a while. Lin Luoran stabilizes the condition of Shimei's younger brother and chooses a room for them to rest. The fragrance of porridge has drifted in the yard. There is very little salt in her space. Salt tastes salty, so hungry people won't grab salt to eat. The governor's mansion is a big family and there is a lot of salt in the cellar. Lin Luoran uses her spiritual mind to find it. She puts some salt in every pot. Salt is not only a seasoning for the human body. It can fill the stomach and make people energetic after eating salt. Lin Luoran collects iron pots with her spell. The patients who can barely stand up know that the miracle has happened and the chance to be saved is in front of them. They all rush to the direction of the governor's mansion. When the aroma of all kinds of vegetable porridge filled the air, the streets with the city lord's mansion as the central axis were already filled with people, shoulder to foot. Many people couldn't help but swallow, and their scattered vitality gathered again. In other words, they have the consciousness of survival again. There is food. Some people are glad that they didn't throw away the clay bowls in their hands. More people regret. They drag heavy steps to find utensils that can hold food in the shops and houses on both sides of the empty street. It doesn't have to be bowls, teapots, wooden ladles, or wine jars. Because the people close to the governor's mansion are all noble houses, they can't get delicate plates. However, there are always some flower pots in the yard. A mouthful of hot food motivates the plague patients to search all corners. Some people even think of using leather hats as bowls. If Lin Luoran doesn't come to the city in a high-profile way, these plague patients will inevitably fight for food because of hunger. However, although they are anxious and hungry, they are still afraid of the power of immortals. They still control themselves temporarily and don't rush into the governor's mansion. They are all waiting. They are waiting anxiously and patiently. Finally, the gate of the governor's mansion is opened from the inside. There is a commotion in the crowd. Women are carrying big iron pots in groups of 2. The first pot is soybean and pumpkin porridge, which stimulates people's taste buds. The troublemakers who were driven out of the governor's mansion by Lin Luoran see women taking charge of the situation and they are ready to make trouble. This time, Lin Luoran doesn't need to do anything. In order to survive, the numb and cowardly ordinary people can also unite and beat up several troublemakers. There is no looting and no mutiny. On the street in front of the governor's mansion, there are more than 100 big iron pots. In front of each pot, there is a woman serving porridge. There is a big empty pot. The person serving porridge is very fair. Whether you are holding a big bowl or a wooden ladle, everyone gets 2 spoonfuls of sticky vegetable porridge. There are 4 grams of porridge, enough for a hungry person to sigh with satisfaction after drinking the porridge. It can't be said that they are full. In the face of survival, it is already a great joy to make their stomach not so empty. It wasn't that there weren't people who thought that the vegetable porridge was delicious and wanted to sneak into the group to get it again. These people are awakened by the piercing eyes above their heads. They look up quietly. It turns out that the female immortal in white is standing on the ridge of the house, looking down quietly. Does she see me? No matter whether she sees me or not, no one dares to take the risk. Lin Luoran looks at the hungry patients coming from all directions of Shin City. One batch leaves and another batch comes. When the pots are empty, they are carried into the yard and cooked again. Hundreds of pots are not enough for 20,000 people to get vegetable porridge at the same time. Fortunately, she is not short of rice for the time being. However, some people have fallen into a coma or a high fever because of hunger and the plague. They can't come to get the vegetable porridge, and Lin Luoran doesn't have a spell that can make people eat passively. There are few people on the street in front of the governor's mansion. Many people eat porridge and hide in the big houses nearby to sleep. Anyway, the yard is spacious and one house can fit many people. Chapter 406. Hey, have you heard? The Immortal said that the earlier we move the corpses, the earlier the porridge will be distributed this morning. In the shack, two old ladies in ragged clothes are talking in a low voice. The person sleeping next to them wakes up and gets up immediately. Porridge today? The old lady nods. The man kowtows and says it's mercy. After asking the two old men who had woken up early, he found out that the Immortals had made huge pits in 8 different directions in the city overnight. They had people carry the people who had died of illness into the pits, preparing to burn them together to prevent the epidemic from spreading again. The old man is knowledgeable. He approves of Lin Luoran's idea and gets up to join the team carrying the corpses. There are nearly 10,000 corpses in the 8 pits. Lin Luoran stands high on the wall. When she sees a pit full, she throws a fireball down and ignites the corpses piled up like a mountain. The fire of the 5 elements is incomparable to the common fire of wood. Without the smell of burning corpses along the way, the corpses quickly turn into ashes in the fire. Everyone worked together, and before noon, the matter had been settled. On the street of the governor's mansion, there are more than 100 big pots again. Like last night, they eat porridge again. But today, it's fruit porridge. Apples, bananas, and mangoes can all be diced and made into porridge. The fruits Lin Luoran has stored in her space for a long time finally have a way out. These fruits contain a touch of reiki, which is the best for the patients. Since she has taken up all the magical air, she is willing to give some fruits to ordinary people. There is a fragrance of medicine mixed in the fruit fragrance. Overnight, the Gastrodia elata can be harvested. Lin Luoran grinds it into powder with other herbs and adds it to the porridge so that she doesn't have to make another decoction. 1 dose of medicine a day for 3 days. Will the symptoms of the plague subside? Lin Luoran looks at the women who are still busy in the backyard. They can bear hardships better than she thought. They didn't rest last night. More than 100 of them went all over Shin City and gave the unconscious infected people porridge. Otherwise, some of them might not have survived last night. Tasting the medicine in the fruit porridge, many people have secretly cried. If the porridge is for them to fill their stomachs, this is really curing the disease. After the efficacy of the medicine dispersed, a warm current flowed through his limbs and bones. The methods of the Immortals were extraordinary, but the elixirs did not grow all over the streets. Perhaps it was because the female immortal was willing to part with them? If Lin Luoran could read people's minds, she would be surprised by the wisdom of the people. He saved a group of ordinary people whom he did not know, and even used 2,000-year-old ginsengs to replenish their vitality to resist the virus. If the cultivators of the cultivation world knew about this, they would definitely beat their chests and stomp their feet. Even though Lin Luoran has a big family business, she has to be willing to spend money. In real life, there were many heartless rich people. Those who supported the mountain village students to do good deeds in a low-key manner were not necessarily rich. It had nothing to do with money, nor did it have anything to do with being rich or poor. Saving money was very motivating, but how many people would be willing to give away the money they had earned to do good deeds? Even in Lin's space, the ginseng is thousands of years old. She planted the first batch of ginseng more than 10 years ago at the beginning of her personal ability enhancement. Except for making elixirs, she left most of the aged spirit medicine to the Lin family. These were the two best ginsengs she had left. There was still Gastrodia elata in space to be planted. Lin Luoran flashes into space. Shimei and her brother wake up and drink 2 bowls of porridge obediently. They don't see the kind sister Lin. She only knows the 7th prince Sang Yi in the governor's mansion. Seeing the 2 children approaching him, Sang Ye's indifferent eyes can't help but melt a little. Because of the cyan phoenix in his eyebrows, he was sent out of the palace when he was a child. His parents were still alive, so his life was actually no different from that of an orphan. The little girl named Shimei and her brother also became orphans. Considering the long lifespan of a core formation cultivator, 3 days was a period of time that could slip away without anyone noticing. But for those who were struggling on the verge of death and fighting against the plague, with each passing day, when the fever subsided or the red spots faded a little, they would have more courage to face the next day. They are different from the people who were waiting for death at dusk. They are looking forward to the next meal, recovery, and survival. With the desire to survive, fewer people were smashing houses in the city. The bad guys won't suddenly wake up, but they also know that this is not the time for them to make trouble. They have nothing to do. After eating porridge, they can only chat together. At first, they only talk about how delicious this vegetable porridge is. You eat mushroom and I eat cucumber, or the weather is so good. Then they talk about where they come from and whether there are people in their families who survived the plague. They shed tears with them. But it was boring to listen to these things over and over again. When everyone had the energy and leisure, the infected, who were mostly farmers, small merchants, or the poor in the city, were actually most curious and wanted to talk about the background of the Immortals who had spent so much effort to save these 20 to 30,000 people. They don't even know his Taoist name. How can they feel at ease if they can't even repay the kindness in the future? People outside the city are certainly looking forward to the situation in the city. Especially the general who resisted the decree and delayed the burning day. 3 days have passed since Lin Luoran said that she wanted to save these people. The eunuch in the palace who supervises the army urges again and again. He doesn't believe what the general said about the immortal coming to the world. This general surnamed Zhang has already made great contributions to the emperor. Otherwise, he wouldn't have pushed him to do the wicked thing of burning the city when he was fighting in the front line. The eunuch is the best at figuring out the emperor's mind. Facing General Zhang's kind explanation, he makes things difficult. The night of the 3rd day comes as promised. The immortal is hard to find. The eunuch's voice is sharp. General Zhang, do you want to blatantly disobey the emperor's order? I don't dare. It's the immortal's order. I dare not disobey. The eunuch sneers. Immortal? Where is the immortal? Several deputy generals are secretly gritting their teeth. They don't know whether to persuade the general to obey the order or to beg for a chance of survival for the civilians in the city. However, the sky was already dark. 3 days had passed, and the celestial in white hadn't made a move since she revealed her power 3 days ago. The city is also very quiet. If it weren't for the tung oil lamps hanging under the eaves of the city lord's mansion that are lit one after another every night, they would all suspect that Shin City has actually become a dead city. The immortal broke his promise because he failed to save these 20,000 or 30,000 people. After all, it is not 2 or 3 people, not 2 or 300, not 2 or 3,000. Even if he has the immortal spell, it is impossible to save 20,000 or 30,000 people at the same time, right? General Zhang feels sorry in his heart. The eunuch's saliva is flying everywhere. He has been urging him to order to burn the city. General Zhang is not without pressure. He has already suspected that in-country doesn't need to make mistakes at all. As long as there is a little excuse, what awaits the Zhang family is definitely not a good thing. For the sake of these commoners, he was willing to die. But there are hundreds of people in the Zhang family, especially his eldest grandson, who just had a birthday party a few days ago. He frowns. It is a struggle between conscience and selfishness. The eunuch seems to see some clues from it. He sneers and goes straight to the outer tent. He chooses a high ground, takes out a yellow silk scroll from his arms, and reads the secret edict. General Zhang loses the right to manage 30,000 elite soldiers. The eunuch holds the imperial edict high, and his sharp voice spreads far in the night. All soldiers, listen to my order. Burn the city immediately. Burn the city immediately. General Zhang retreats disappointedly. He seems to be 10 years older in an instant. Arrows with kerosene are shot into Shin City. Although the city wall is on fire, the buildings in the city are also made of wood. The weather in Ying is hot, and the wooden boards are extremely dry. The speed of burning is not much slower than that of the city wall with kerosene. In Shin City, which is regarded as a dead city, it is noisy. Cries for help, curses, and cries are intertwined. The arrows in the hands of the soldiers are slowed down. But what's the use? The fire has already spread. The civilians who are kept in pens like pigs have red tears in their eyes. They are extremely sad and indignant. Inside the raging fire wall are their relatives. It doesn't matter if they are dead. Listening to the movement, it is clear that most of them are still alive and full of vigor. Their relatives must have been saved by immortals. If they don't die in the hands of the plague, they will be burned alive. I'll fight with you. The civilians with red eyes rush forward. Unlike the previous rich people who cause trouble, this kind of deep grief and indignation affects people's hearts and causes resonance. The elite soldiers obviously have cold swords in their hands. They are 3 times more than the civilians outside the city, but they are forced to retreat by flesh and blood. Because they feel guilty. It turns out that the anger of civilians can also make people panic when they gather together. The conflict is about to break out. The eunuch is killed by General Zhang, who hears the noise and rushes out. Immortals break their promise, eunuchs bully people, and conflicts between civilians and soldiers break out. General Zhang does not allow the swords made by his country to be used against his own people. Save himself. At this last moment, the only path left was to save himself. He wants everyone to be quiet so that they can organize to save people by breaking the city gate. However, as soon as he looks up, it suddenly rains heavily without warning. In fact, it is not without any warning. There was also a flash of light in the mansion of the city lord before, but people are too emotional to notice it. General Zhang looks up and sees a white figure floating over Shin City. The rain does not fall from the sky at all, but from the tip of the woman's fingers. The light is flowing. Even though he can't see her face clearly, he can still feel her kindness and moving. The conflict and the restlessness in the city all stop. It is silent inside and outside the city as if they have agreed on it. Kerosene floats in the water. Can her rain really extinguish the fire? Chapter 407. Fortunately, there is still time. Lin Luoran stands in the air and looks down. After 3 days of treatment and the last spiritual rain, it is difficult to cast a large-scale water spell in this dry place. At the critical moment, a fire arrow is suddenly shot from outside the city, which really startles Lin Luoran. The spirit medicine not only contains the vitality to fight against the virus, but also dilutes some spirit herbs. 2 minutes later, the raging fire is mostly extinguished. Lin Luoran does this to sterilize and cure the disease. She doesn't want to waste the spiritual rain on fire. Floating in the air, she changes the gesture on her right hand. Under the effect of the fire spell, the people of Ying inside and outside the city only see the fire turning into threads of fire. The threads of fire are sucked into the hands of the woman in white. Hiss! The immortal skill is so powerful that everyone gasps. As the spiritual rain fell, not much of it fell on people's bodies, but some of it drilled into the soil and eventually gathered with the underground water that flowed in all directions. The remaining poison in the soil had not been cleared, and the self-healing ability of nature could not take effect in a few days. Only by forming a cycle could the momentum of the plague be reduced in this area. General Zhang looks up. The spiritual rain flows down his face and neck. Soon he feels warm all over. He is not infected, but he is also a warrior. Compared with leading the army to fight, his talent in learning martial arts is really poor. He just developed the internal strength a few years ago, but he is already in his 50s. He can't do much after that. However, this rainwater caused the weak aura in his meridians to become restless. General Zhang is not the only one who feels the same way. After being washed by the rain, not only did the sickly body not feel wet and cold, it even felt light all over. Even though they don't know why the spiritual rain smells like medicine, they have no doubt about its preciousness. Infectious diseases have an incubation period, and people outside the city are not necessarily healthy. Lin Luoran does this to prevent the virus from breaking out again. How can she be favored by the Immortal? How can she repay the favor of saving her life? For General Zhang, Lin Luoran is also his savior. He can't order a massacre in the city. Disobeying the order is a capital crime, and it may bring disaster to his whole family. The fire goes out and the spiritual rain stops. The gate of Shen City suddenly opens. Commoners with ragged clothes and dazed expressions poured out of the city gates. Without food, they had to fend for themselves, but they still seemed to be in good spirits. Their complexions were even rosier than those of the civilians who were kept outside the city. The frightening red spots disappeared, and the soldiers did not stop them. The reason for their absent-mindedness was probably because they did not expect that they would have the chance to see the sky outside the city and their loved ones again. Some people had already recognized their relatives and friends. They crossed the human wall and hugged each other tightly. With the high walls blocking the way, the yellow springs were already faintly discernible. He really didn't expect to see his relatives and friends safe and sound a few days later. General Zhang's eyes were also wet. There were a lot of people coming out, and the outside of the city was filled with people. The garrison had no choice but to retreat again and again. Of course, he would not complain. From this, it could be seen that other than those who had died earlier, since the arrival of the Immortals, there were no more patients who had been infected with the plague, right? Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many people still alive. He thought about it for a long time and suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Having lived for decades and experienced many battles, General Zhang's courage was naturally greater than that of ordinary people. Otherwise, he would not dare to take the risk of defying the decree to delay the time. The people of Ying have received the favor of the Immortals, and I have nothing to repay them. May I be so bold as to ask for your Taoist name? I will definitely burn incense every day to show my sincerity. As soon as these words came out, the civilians who were talking to each other woke up, who didn't have one or two relatives who got sick and were sent to the city to wait for death. As civilians living at the bottom of the society, they had no extra money to offer livestock as sacrifices. But couldn't they offer incense? May I ask for your Taoist name? May I ask for your Taoist name? May I ask for your Taoist name? There were so many people kneeling on the ground. The last 100 or so women who had made great efforts in the past few days were shocked, but then they understood what was going on. After getting along with the fairy for 3 days, they knew a little better than these people about the fairy floating in the air. Although she didn't speak much and seemed quite mysterious, she saved people from suffering and didn't despise the people at the bottom at all. She really deserved to be thanked by people kneeling on the ground. Lin Luoran's eyesight was superb and she could clearly see everyone on the ground. Tens of thousands of people kneeling on the ground surprised her. However, when the moment really came, she was still a little excited. She hadn't thought about the power of faith yet. She was just a little flustered by the gratitude of so many people. Although Lin Luoran had long understood the power of cultivators, she never thought that one day she could save so many people with the help of space. They were not plants, non-entities, or ghosts in another form in the sea of sin. They were human beings who had the same skin color as her and were struggling to survive in the mortal world. In the end, she was still a little cultivator who hadn't gotten used to her identity. In order to protect her family and friends, she was always soft-hearted and not good at communicating with others. She even blushed when pretending to be a Taoist sometimes. My Taoist name is Mortal Heart. Fortunately, people below don't see Mortal Heart Fairy blushing and embarrassed. Most people think this Taoist name is really ordinary, but there are also people like the 7th Prince Sang Yi who is hiding in the city. They secretly say it twice and feel it is simple and fragrant. 2 little followers followed him, which ruined the indifference of his temperament. However, Why did he suddenly feel that his eyebrows were hot? Shimei saw him squatting down while covering his eyebrows. The little girl remembered the trick her mother used to coax her. She moved Sang Ye's hand away and breathed on his eyebrows. The birthmark between his eyebrows, which was temporarily covered by Lin Luoran's potion, was now alive. It seemed to break free from the center of his forehead and fly away. Shimei screamed and stepped back in fear. Sang Yi endured the pain and asked what was wrong. Shimei cried with tears in her eyes. The little cyan bird came back to life. Lin Luoran never thought that one day she would be overwhelmed by the power of faith. The shining light of faith gathered into a sea and rushed to her. It was reasonable that the saved civilians believed devoutly because they were grateful for the life-saving grace. What was wrong with those elite soldiers? She didn't save them. Why did so many light groups fly out of their heads? Lin Luoran was confused. In the sea of the power of faith, her ocean of consciousness was constantly expanding. The painted sculpture was solidified and it seemed that it would come alive at any time. Fire Phoenix has been crazy with joy in the space. It calculated that the power of faith could definitely make Lin Luoran solidify her godhead in one fell swoop and have the holy power, tens of thousands of people plus the resentful spirits purified in the sea of sin. In the era of gods and Buddhas, the gods divided their believers. Even a small god may not have so many believers. Great achievements! Great achievements! Fire Phoenix was so happy that it turned around in the space. Lin Luoran was not like Fire Phoenix. When she was still at a loss, the sky was suddenly struck by lightning and thunder came one after another. Is it going to rain in the saline alkali area that has been dry for a long time? Everyone thought that mortal Heart Fairy once again used the fairy arts to save the people. Only Lin Luoran narrowed her eyes. She didn't believe it was a coincidence. The dark sky over the suburbs seemed to be torn open. Before the heavy rain fell, most of the power of faith that Lin Luoran worked hard to get was sucked away. It disappeared in the crack of the sky without a trace. Fire Phoenix's eyes were wide open. If it was still alive, it would spit blood at this moment. Even Lin Luoran felt surprised and a little reluctant. She could choose whether to take it or not. But why did she take the mysterious power without asking? A cyan light rushed into the sky. The cyan bird between Sang Ye's eyebrows came out and flew into the crack with gorgeous tail feathers. Chapter 408. Where's Penglet? Perhaps Li Yishan had already pointed out the path for the world in his poem. However, everyone had treated it as a beautiful poem about love and had dissected it down to every word and sentence. However, they had never thought that perhaps that famous line was actually the original meaning. How can there be so many derivative meanings? Lin Luoran turns her eyes and stares at the crack in the sky. After a few breaths, Cyan Phoenix comes out of the crack again. The gorgeous tail feathers sprinkle a little starlight, lighting up the night of Shin City. When its whole figure appears from the crack, Lin Luoran finds that it is dragging a magnificent jade carriage flying in circles in the sky. The music of the flute and the strings of the guqin rings. Several female immortals in colorful clothes are sitting in front of the carriage. Some are playing flute and some are playing the guqin. They are in a myriad of postures and are gorgeous. Every frown and smile seems to be out of this world. Most civilians are frightened and dare not look directly at them. Occasionally, some bold soldiers peek at them. They are all blushing because of the awe-inspiring posture. It is a beauty completely different from that of mortal Heart Fairy. People who peek at them secretly wonder. However, in contrast, they still like this fairy who is kind to the people. Lin Luoran has no time to pay attention to the thoughts of the people under her feet. She is full of bitterness and excitement at the moment. Suddenly, she remembers a famous sentence she learned when she was young, looking for him in the crowd for thousands of times. Suddenly looking back, the person is in the place where the lights are dim. The scene doesn't match and the object of the lyric is also controversial. However, the feeling of sudden enlightenment is generally good. The cyan bird swoops down and drags the carriage. It circles around Lin Luoran. When it passes by, Lin Luoran can clearly see the fluttering eyelashes of the women who are playing the music. Lin Luoran can smell the fragrance of flowers from them. They are exquisite and devoted to the beautiful and moving music. They don't care about Lin Luoran, but the carriage is always hovering around her. The Cyan Phoenix detached from Sang Ye's eyebrows and drags the gorgeous and spacious carriage. It refuses to leave Lin Luoran. Because of this, although the women playing music don't say anything, Lin Luoran still feels that they are inviting her to go up. Behind the crack is Mount Penglai, which she has been searching for more than 10 years. Lin Luoran has a strong intuition. Standing on it, she feels like she is dreaming. She can't help but step on the carriage. It was as if he was stepping on a ball of cotton, soft and powerless. Standing on the edge of the carriage, Lin Luoran can't help but look around. Outside of Shin City, there are many respectful believers. They probably think that Lin Luoran is going back to the Heaven Palace or something. That's why they are making such a big noise. Only the 7th Prince Sang Yi, who came with them, struggles to get up from the ground. He touches the burning spot between his eyebrows and remains silent. He is the only one who knows that Lin Luoran didn't go back somewhere. Instead, she found Penglai. He remembers an old book he read in the Royal Cold Palace when he was a child. There are 3 spirit mountains overseas, namely Penglai, Fangzhang and Yingzhou. Cyan Bird is the messenger of the Queen Mother and she can go to different worlds freely. Sang Yi always thinks that his mother deliberately asked people to release the book to comfort him. After all, he only read it once and then he can't find it anymore. But why would he believe it? Perhaps he subconsciously wanted to prove that the birthmark between his eyebrows was the embodiment of auspiciousness and not the misfortune that was rumored in the palace? Later, he checked the ancient books and finally found the place near Shin City. Even so, Sang Yi never thought that he could really see Cyan Phoenix leading the way one day. More than 20 years of indifference and hostility suffered by him seems to be vented at this moment. Despite the sharp pain between his eyebrows and the excitement in his heart, his face is still shrouded in peace. Sang Yi, the cold-blooded 7th Prince of Penglai, looks a little gentle. Shimei, who has lost her mother, holds her younger brother's hand and clings to him tightly. The little girl looks at the sky and cries like a hungry kitten. Children's emotions are the most sensitive. She knows that Sister Lin is about to leave. What should she do in the future? Shimei is at a loss. She can only hold her younger brother's hand tightly. Sang Yi has an idea. It is really lonely to live alone in the prince's mansion. If there are 2 more members, it should be more lively, right? A group of believers are sending them off respectfully. When Lin Luoran sits down, Cyan Phoenix screams. It glances at the tiny human who has been with it for more than 20 years and then turns around and flies to the crack in the sky. The spark-like brilliance illuminates the looming pavilions in the crack when it is swallowed by the crack. Is it Penglai where true immortals live in the mountains floating in the clouds? The carriage is spacious but Lin Luoran doesn't feel comfortable because she is worried about gains and losses. With a burst of dazzling white light, Cyan Phoenix pulls the whole carriage and squeezes through the crack. The darkness is left far behind. When Lin Luoran opens her eyes again, she sees inextinguishable light. The high mountains go deep into the clouds. There are blooming flowers and green willows all year round. She can occasionally see the exquisite corners of houses on the mountainside. If she doesn't pay attention to her feet, she will think this is the most ordinary tourist scenic spot in the secular world. The music has stopped and the carriage stops on a scarlet jade platform made of unknown material. The Cyan Phoenix has disappeared. Lin Luoran stands on the carriage and looks around. The whole mountain is suspended in the air. This is a place that is neither close to the sky nor the ground. The only connection between the scarlet jade platform and the spirit mountain is a floating stone path. The winding path extends to the end of the white fog. It is like a maglev stone in a treasure-hunting movie. Lin Luoran observes for a while and doesn't step on it immediately, because she finds that the woman who played the music has become a humanoid terracotta figure only 2 inches high. They are so delicate and lifelike that it turns out they are not real people at all. Lin Luoran hesitates for a while and picks up the terracotta figures. When she looks closer, she finds that their faces, postures, and even the touch of their skin are exactly the same as real people. Previously, she had only thought that they were so beautiful that they were somewhat illusory. She really did not realize that they were not actually dolls. She finds it interesting, but it is not good to take things without asking. When she is about to put them down, one of the floating stones floats to her. Lin Luoran's attention is diverted and she stands on it cautiously. The floating stone is like a bus. It slowly floats to the end of the white fog and walks a fixed track in the air, steady and slow. Well, the terracotta figure is still in her hand. Lin Luoran wants to put the terracotta figure back and look back at the scarlet jade platform. However, it is already hidden in the white fog. She can't even see the way with her clear eyes. Lin Luoran doesn't try to challenge the power of immortals with her personal ability of bearing essence. She just holds the terracotta figures in her hand and follows the floating stone, looking at the spirit mountain in front of her. The distance is getting closer and the scenery is also much closer. At the end of the white fog is a small stone path. There are 2 rugged pine trees on both sides. They are ordinary species, but they must be old monsters that have lived for many years. Lin Luoran sees the old pine path and feels that the floating stone will soon reach the end. However, she almost falls asleep standing on the stone. Well, it seems that the distance has not changed at all after walking for so long. Lin Luoran is depressed. She wants to check the time on her cell phone, which has been turned off for a long time. However, she finds that the electronic clock has stopped working. Chapter 409. What is time so close? Lin Luoran asks this question. Fire Phoenix doesn't hide it. It only says that it is an extremely powerful fairy spell which can condense time and space. Closed distance and a moment of time may be magnified to the end of the world or to the end of the world. Although the pine needles of the welcome pine are clear, Lin Luoran herself may still be hundreds of millions of light years away from it. This is not good news. It is enough to make Lin Luoran ignore the loophole in Fire Phoenix's words. It seems to be unusually familiar with these fairy spells that only exist in legends. It is right in front of her and she can still see the crystal dew on the pine needles. Lin Luoran expects that she will reach the end of the floating path in the next second. Even though the floating stone has been moving, she still yawns sleepily. Spirit Mountain that she has been searching for more than 10 years is just at the end of the path. Lin Luoran is both anxious and relaxed. The tiredness of being vigilant day and night in the monster forest is triggered at this moment. She is still chatting with Fire Phoenix and others, but she falls asleep on the floating stone unconsciously. Lin Luoran is still holding a few delicate terracotta figurines in her hands. It is a bad time for her to sleep. This sleep is extremely sweet. In the dream, she moves immortals with her sincerity and they give her spirit medicine which can build the Taoist root for mortals. After taking it, Mrs. Lin catches up with her because the Lin family is not short of spirit stones and elixirs. Mrs. Lin lays foundation and bears essence in a short time. The whole family boats in Dongting, singing and laughing. The dream is so sweet that Lin Luoran still smiles when she wakes up. However, the stone on her body is a little strange. Lin Luoran gets up and finds that she has been carried to the end of the path by the floating stone in her sleep and thrown onto the small stone path. No wonder the ground under her is not flat. She gets up quickly and is so happy that she doesn't even care that her hair is wet with dew. She smells the fragrance of flowers from the terracotta figurines. The mountain is really full of purple and red. Lin Luoran takes 2 steps and finds that her shoes are missing. She just thinks that they fall into the nothingness under the mountain and she doesn't pay much attention. Moving forward, she finds something wrong again. The wacken in her body, which has not improved for a long time, actually fills up her meridians. It seems that she has the personal ability of the middle period of bearing essence. What is going on? Although the spiritual qi in the Immortal Mountain was abundant, it shouldn't be to the extent that he would wake up in the middle stage of the core formation realm, right? Lin Luoran feels uneasy. She has never advanced so smoothly. There is no natural harmony at all. She probed with her spiritual will. Fortunately, she could still enter the space. She asks Fire Phoenix, silverfish, and wood wolf. They also have the same nature. Like Lin Luoran, they all feel that their personal ability has improved a lot. Lin Luoran can only attribute it to the gospel of Mount Penglai. Mo Tienga looked at the female music doll in her hand. There was nothing strange, and there was more space in the space. Presumably, it was because she had advanced to the middle stage of the core formation realm. Lin Luoran can't figure it out for a while. She has to find a new pair of shoes, get out of the space, and walk up the mountain along the path. The winding gravel path is paved with colorful stones, which look more gorgeous than the Jinling Yuhua stone. Lin Luoran can only recognize a few of the flowers and trees on the side of the road. For example, the golden fruit slightly larger than cherries. Although it has a strange fragrance, she doesn't dare to pick it, let alone eat it. The path is steep and the distance is extremely long. Lin Luoran doesn't know how long she has been walking. As a bearing essence cultivator, she also feels thirsty. She takes a few peaches from the space and eats half of them before continuing her journey. It is always not dark. Lin Luoran has forgotten how long she has been walking. When she is extremely tired, she finds a wooden pavilion with red corners on the side of the road. There is a string of purple copper bells on the eaves of the pavilion. The bells make a crisp and beautiful sound in the wind, which makes Lin Luoran feel less agitated. She sits in the pavilion to rest and rubs her sore feet. After a long time, she finally finds the right state. Lin Luoran hasn't used spells or flying sword to climb the mountain. Out of intuition, she doesn't think it is a wise thing to use external forces such as spells in Spirit Mountain. Although there is no trace of immortals, Lin Luoran firmly believes that there is a pair of eyes secretly watching her, a weak cultivator, to check her words and actions and sincerity. After resting for half a day in the pavilion, abundant Reiki makes her recover quickly. She is like soaking in a honeypot of Reiki. The auspicious Reiki everywhere in the mountain is even more than in the space. It is really a good place to cultivate and ask about immortals. For a moment, she has a rather absurd idea in her mind. She feels that it is also a good choice to cultivate in seclusion in this mountain. Lin Luoran comes to herself and blinks in confusion. It is strange. She has always insisted that the mortal world is the Tao and life is cultivation. Why does she suddenly want to be free from the mortal world? Was this immortal mountain affecting her state of mind? Lin Luoran looks up and sees a cyan shadow flashing by. It is Cyan Phoenix that pulls the carriage into the mountain. Lin Luoran determines the direction where Cyan Phoenix disappears and sets off again. The light is still soft and bright, never dazzling or dim. It has never changed. However, Lin Luoran has climbed halfway up the mountain. All the way up the mountain, the boring and silent journey almost drove her crazy. Along the way, the flowers and fruits were ripe, but she couldn't even hear the birds chirping. The loneliness of being the only one on this huge mountain tortured her to the point of exhaustion. However, every time she wants to let go, the provocative cyan shadow flashes across the sky, which makes Lin Luoran's feet full of strength again. Lin Luoran suppresses the uneasiness in her heart. With the watermelon in her mouth, the damn Cyan Phoenix flies by again. She complains secretly, but she is happy to see living things and chases in that direction. The seemingly unreachable and endless mountain road is shortened little by little in such a chase, until she finds a rainbow palace. The breeze blows her face, and everything in front of her has an unreal, ethereal, and magnificent feeling. 7 arched walls of light and shadow of different colors look like rainbows from a distance. However, when she gets closer, she finds that they are 7 rainbow bridges. Lin Luoran thinks for a while and chooses the orange rainbow bridge to walk on. There is no danger, but the soft feeling of stepping on QQ candy makes her not feel at ease like walking on the ground. Lin Luoran walks over quickly. The whole palace seems to be carved out of crystal and exquisite, which matches the colorful rainbow bridge in front of the palace very well. She doesn't dare to advance further. She calmly states her intention and quietly waits under the steps in front of the palace. Because she has a request in her heart, her attitude is very respectful. However, she doesn't get a response of refusal or permission. Is the immortal not at home? She has a bad feeling in her heart, and her palms clench unconsciously. She just doesn't want to accept the speculation. Lin Luoran lives in front of the palace and meditates on the steps every day. The passage of time in Spirit Mountain is unreal. She can't check the time on the mobile phone, and there is no sunrise or sunset. After a period of confusion, Lin Luoran finally remembers to use planting in space to calculate the time. She sows an ordinary tree and cuts a branch to check the rings every once in a while. Then she cultivates. She almost gives up eating. She begins to devote all her energy to cultivation. Maybe it is because she is afraid? Knowing that there are 300 or 400 rings on the tree, Lin Luoran is surprised at the fast passage of time. The effect of cultivation is very obvious. However, she feels like she has been in the outside world for a month. She doesn't even notice that a year has passed. Sure enough, it is the residence of immortals. Time passes extremely fast. Only immortals with endless life can stand such leisure days without knowing the passage of time. If so, the owner of this Rainbow Bridge Crystal Palace goes out to visit relatives and friends. She can't afford to wait for hundreds of years to come back. Lin Luoran doesn't enter the palace. She still goes down the orange Rainbow Bridge and continues to walk up the mountain. She walks and stops along the way. The palaces she sees along the way are gorgeous and very distinctive. It can be seen that there are many immortals on Mount Penglai, or should I use the word once? When Lin Luoran finally reaches the top of the mountain and overlooks the whole mountain, her eyes lose focus in the thick white fog that never dissipates all year round. Has he discovered the abnormality long ago? She finds the immortal tree on the roadside, which has not been picked for many years. Has he discovered the abnormality long ago? She finds all the flowers are in full bloom, but not even a bee or bird can be seen. Fire Phoenix and Silver Fish have been more and more silent recently. They must know the truth before she does, but they can't bear to tell her. Chapter 410. Since knowing the existence of Mount Penglai, it has become the short-term goal of Lin Luoran's personal ability enhancement. The casual nature of traveling in the world also needs the support of a stable home. In her mind, her family must have Mr. and Mrs. Lin. It is meaningless to cultivate the path of immortality alone. In the future, when she achieves the Tao, she will find that she has given up family, friendship, and love in the process of pursuing. It is better not to be a lonely immortal. It is because of the obsession in her heart and the twists and turns in the process of finding Spirit Mountain that Lin Luoran suffers a big blow at this time. Lin Luoran hasn't reached the next level, but the devil inside comes to her in her muddle-headedness. At this time, the devil in her heart is very strange. She seems to be awake and acts like she is sleepwalking. In the secular world, it is that she is so angry that she loses her former sobriety. Standing on the top of Mount Penglai, Lin Luoran spits out a mouthful of blood. Her feet become soft and she rolls down the mountain road. The 3 big monsters of Fire Phoenix in the space are scared to death. However, it is not her time to die. She is stopped by the Red Corner Pavilion where she used to rest. Fire Phoenix stops worrying. However, when Lin Luoran wakes up again, they can basically judge that she has lost her mind. Lin Luoran seems to forget the previous setbacks and begins to worship immortals devoutly. Every day, she prepared a sumptuous meal for herself and ate until she was full. Then, starting from the Rainbow Bridge Crystal Palace halfway up the mountain, she would visit those immortals. Of course, there will be no response. Lin Luoran visits every palace. She only thinks that immortals are unwilling to pay attention to this humble little cultivator and are preparing to give her some gifts. Seeing her eyes passing over her body, Fire Phoenix shudders inexplicably. It has an intuition that if she can't find a suitable gift in the end, she may even give them away with the beads. This day doesn't come late. Fire Phoenix once again shows its inauspicious mouth. Lin Luoran has a space for planting which is different from the real world. There are countless spirit herbs and exotic flowers. However, the species on Mount Penglai are probably thousands of times more precious than all the ones in the space. She does not expect that immortals will like the things produced in the space. What else does she have? Lin Luoran first thinks of the dragon skeleton. Since the dragon bone was taken away by Fire Phoenix, she has never seen it again. Of course, the Fire Phoenix can't take it out now. In order to avoid Lin Luoran, the Phoenix King has to stay in the cabin all day long. It even forgets its hobby of chatting with the silverfish. Wood Wolf has been laughing. However, when it sees Lin Luoran's stubborn eyes, it just sighs and goes back to its room. Lin Luoran can't get the dragon bone. She carefully looks at the blue jade that the mermaid took out. Finally, she takes this extraordinary gift from the mermaid and visits other immortal palaces. Lin Luoran is so ashamed that she almost smashes the blue jade. During this period of time, she had not rested even once. She had been relying on the endless spiritual power in her body to support herself. At the end of the road, under the brewing of despair, he really had the idea of taking the pearl space. The silver thread connecting the beads is broken. Lin Luoran squints and looks at it. The three monsters in the space are complaining. Even if there are immortals, they can't give away the beads in the state of semi-owner recognition unless they kill Lin Luoran and the three monsters in the space. Except for Fire Phoenix, even Lin Luoran, the semi-owner, doesn't know this. Therefore, what worries it is actually Lin Luoran's obsession that causes her to lose weight. How can cultivators lose weight? The appearance of their limbs, including their body fat, will evolve to a more perfect state with the improvement of their personal ability. Especially for cultivators of bearing essence, even if they don't eat, their body will automatically absorb Reiki and convert it into Wakan to nourish the cells in their body to maintain the best state of body function. Losing weight unreasonably means that Lin Luoran's Wakan in her body is affected by the devil inside, which affects her metabolism. The experienced and knowledgeable Fire Phoenix certainly understands that this is a very bad sign. If the devil inside doesn't go away, Lin Luoran may die of exhaustion of vital energy and blood. And the three monsters who have been closely connected with her certainly won't keep her alive. When that day comes, maybe only this bead with a great history will be left on Spirit Mountain forever. However, since that person has been escorting her all the way, how can he allow Lin Luoran to have such a situation today? Fire Phoenix feels that it can never understand the thoughts of a big shot. Not only that, as a powerful monster with extraordinary talent when it was alive, it also can't understand the thoughts of Lin Luoran as a human being. It's good to value affection. These monsters who have been connected with her fate are also happy to see it. At least they don't worry about being abandoned. However, forcibly keeping a person's life is really too difficult for a fragile human being. Even an old monster like Fire Phoenix can't understand it, let alone the childish silverfish and the seemingly smart but actually the stupidest wolf. There is no one on Spirit Mountain who can comfort Lin Luoran. Fire Phoenix thinks for a few days and suddenly remembers another guest who has been sleeping in the space. Since Lin Luoran gave away the storage bag, the sleeping soul stone of White Fairy has been put in the space and carried with her. Fire Phoenix sneaks into Lin Luoran's room and turns over the drawers. Then it finds the soul stone. A smaller version of White Fairy is sleeping in it. With the ability of Fire Phoenix, it can still see her miserable appearance hiding in the soul stone. Well, that's why humans are so weak. After such a long time, they can't even deal with the spiritual mind of the dead bat monster. Fire Phoenix disdainfully curls its lips and transmits a trace of Nirvana's true fire into the soul stone. Its face is tired, but it still manages to shout, "Hey Linny, come and have a look at this gift." It knows that no matter what it says at this time, Lin Luoran's mood will not fluctuate. Only the gift of the immortal that she has been thinking about can attract her. Sure enough, in the next second, Lin Luoran has already flashed into the space. Looking at the familiar soul stone on the ground, Lin Luoran is confused for a moment. She seems to have forgotten what it is. Fire Phoenix feels bad. A smoke-like white shadow floats out of the soul stone and gradually takes shape. Dressed in a bright yellow palace dress, there is a fresh peony in her hair. She is very beautiful and dignified. It is White Fairy who has not been with Lin Luoran for a long time but indirectly taught her to cultivate to the level of bearing essence. Lin Luoran has no teacher. She has two masters on the way of cultivation. One is Master Jia, who taught her the nameless breathing method, which is actually a cultivation method. The other is White Fairy, who taught her how to ride a sword, gave her the introduction of swords, and gave her the memory bead. Lin Luoran and White Fairy used each other at the beginning. Then they worked together to escape from the bat monster. Finally, in order to delay the bat monster, White Fairy fell into a trap and fell into a deep sleep. More than 10 years have passed in a flash. Time has gilded the bad utilization factor of the first awareness period with a gentle light of harmony. Even though Lin Luoran's mind is still unclear at the moment and her spiritual aperture is blocked, she suddenly sees White Fairy again. After a short daze, the grievances she has suffered these days fill her eyes with tears. Long time no see. White Fairy fixes the peony in her hair. She greets Lin Luoran like an old friend. White Fairy's words make Lin Luoran's grievances and disappointment pour out instantly. Tears wet her clothes. Lin Luoran, who has always been strong and indifferent, now cries like an aggrieved child who doesn't get candy. Crying is really a good way for human beings to vent their sadness and release stress. Fire Phoenix has learned another lesson and feels relaxed at the same time. It knows it has made the right decision. Although it has wasted the extremely precious Nirvana fire, the awakening of the female cultivator's remnant soul has undoubtedly made Lin Luoran sober in this crying. She has overcome the devil inside. White clouds are unpredictable. One moment they stretch into waves, and the next moment they curl up into mountains. Lin Luoran is standing on the top of Mount Penglai. At this moment, there is no joy or sadness in her eyes. She is clear. Beside Lin Luoran stands the gorgeous White Fairy. Every time the wind blows, the corner of her skirt will float like Lin Luoran's skirt. If she doesn't wear clothes, people with low personal ability won't be able to tell that she is a soul at this moment. When she was alive, she struggled to pursue the Tao of nature. However, she got hurt in the secret land and was trapped in the small world under the abyss. She was saved by the Soul Stone and then restrained by the Soul Stone. She couldn't step out of the abyss. Until 1,000 years later, a little female cultivator with low personal ability accidentally fell into the abyss. At that time, she was still planning to take over the body and retreat. However, things developed unexpectedly. White Fairy has expected the power of the bat monster, but she still didn't expect it to be a primitive monster. The environment is broken and she is also trapped in the Soul Stone. She falls into a deep sleep. When she wakes up again, she comes to Mount Penglai, which she didn't even dare to imagine when she was alive. Looking down from a high place, she can see the magnificence and mystery of Spirit Mountain. White Fairy sighs at Lin Luoran's wonderful experience and is even more shocked by her efforts. At that time, Lin Luoran only had the personal ability of the later stage of training Qi. White Fairy says that only a dozen years have passed, but the little female cultivator has the personal ability of the middle stage of bearing essence. Even with the secret treasure in hand, she still needs to work hard. White Fairy knows that Lin Luoran is extremely poor in talent. In fact, you have worked hard enough. Lin Luoran has worked very hard, even harder than she did in the past. White Fairy is absent-minded. She didn't expect that when she woke up again, Lin Luoran had already crossed the laying foundation period. The memory bead she gave Lin Luoran has become very useless after she reaches the bearing essence period. Lin Luoran turns her head. Work hard? I also can't save my mother's situation. I spent another 2 years looking for Spirit Mountain. Every time, I thought that as long as my mother could shape the Taoist root, we would have a long time to get along. It's ridiculous that I wasted so much time for such an ethereal place as Mount Penglai. White Fairy sighs. She has experienced the feeling of watching her relatives and friends grow old in front of her, but she can't do anything about it. However, when she reached the level of gathering vitality, she still couldn't solve the Taoist root problem of mortals, let alone Lin Luoran in the middle period of bearing essence. White Fairy is about to comfort her when she sees a cyan shadow flying in the distance. White Fairy is instantly alert. Chapter 411. In the daytime, Cyan Phoenix can be seen clearly. Lin Luoren can't tell how she feels at this moment. She just stares at it flying closer and closer in silence. However, this cyan phoenix is always surprising. It lands on the ground and turns into a young man, which is enough to make Lin Luoren's indifferent mask collapse. The face is exactly the same as Sang Ye's. If the seventh prince of Penglai is pretending to be arrogant, then the young man transformed by cyan phoenix can be seen even when he smiles. You can also feel the alienation of nobleness. He cracks his lips and barely smiles. However, he doesn't look at the beautiful white fairy. He only says to Lin Luoren, "Congratulations, you have passed the test." He says congratulations, but the expression on his face is like someone owes him tens of thousands of spirit stones. He doesn't look happy at all. Lin Luoren's eyelids move. Because she has been silent for a long time, her voice is inevitably a little dry. Oh really? Qing Wan has seen this female cultivator's persistence in finding the spirit mountain, and he also hides in the dark to peep at her dejected look after finding out that immortals can't be found. Now he shows up and tells her that she has passed the test. According to common sense, shouldn't she be crying with joy? Why is she still like this? However, there are very few people who have passed the test of Spirit Mountain since ancient times. There are few actual cases for reference. Perhaps Lin Luoren's indifferent reaction is just because of her personality. Thinking of this, Cyan Phoenix nods proudly. The Sea of Sin, the Monster Forest, and the Cure of the Plague in Ing. If you didn't pass the first two tests, you wouldn't have been able to go to the end. Without the huge power of faith in the last test, you wouldn't have had the chance to see Mount Penglai. People with evil thoughts will fall on the floating path. People with greed will be instantly ejected from the extra-dimensional space and go back to the earth as long as they touch the exotic flowers and plants on the mountain. Lin Luoren, right? You are the only cultivator who has passed the test in 3,000 years. Cyan Phoenix can fulfill one wish of yours. Wish? What wish? Lin Luoren is a little angry. She says with difficulty, "I only have one wish, which is to shape the Taoist root for my mother." White Fairy sighs. This is such a good opportunity. Although she is a soul, she is not stupid. The Cyan Phoenix in front of her has clearly lived for many years. Thinking of the inexplicable close relationship between the Cyan Phoenix and Spirit Mountain, a wish from him is really too precious for a cultivator. However, Lin Luoren still wants to build the Taoist root for her mother. While feeling sorry, White Fairy also feels that Lin Luoren is still the same as before. She has not become a cold cultivator in the world of cultivation because of the change of state and time. She still cares about family. White Fairy feels inexplicably gratified. Qing Wan obviously did not expect her answer. He did not agree immediately. Instead, he casually plucked a bunch of bright red fruits that were slightly larger than strawberries. This is called the GG fruit. If an ordinary cultivator consumes it, it won't be as exaggerated as ascending, but it can still provide a cultivator with enough spirit chi to cultivate to the soul formation stage. Not to mention the thin Reiki on the earth today, even the thought of reaching the divinization period in the Tang dynasty 1,000 years ago is enough to make White Fairy, who is now a soul, excited. However, Lin Luoren is calm. Obviously, she is not tempted at all. Qing Luan is not angry. He casually throws away the GG fruit in his hand and points to a few lavender spirit herbs not far away. That is peach blossom. Cultivators who have taken it can still retain their memories in the next life even if they are reincarnated. They can cultivate again. Is this similar to reincarnation of Buddhism? No cultivator dares to say that he has never made mistakes in his long life. After going through detours and reincarnating with memories, he can avoid the mistakes of the previous life. With the experience of the previous life, he will definitely go further than the previous life. White Fairy is even slightly stunned for a moment. Even with her former talent, she still wastes a lot of time. If she had a chance to take such a spirit herb before she died, she would definitely cultivate to the gathering vitality period in a very short time. Then she wouldn't have to stay in a small soul stone and not know when she could ask for revenge. She can find those who betrayed and hurt her and solve the grudges of the previous life. Without an end to the past, White Fairy can't start a new life. Of course, in the current state of soul, she can only feel sad for a while. The state of mind of the gathering vitality period can't be easily tempted by Cyan Phoenix. Cyan Phoenix wants to tempt Lin Luoran, but she still looks cold. White Fairy turns her eyes and looks at this female cultivator. Compared with using her in the past, she really likes Lin Luoran's character more and more. Cyan Phoenix takes out many treasures again. There is even one thing that even Fire Phoenix in space is interested in. However, Cyan Phoenix soon realizes Lin Luoran's stubbornness. Lin Luoran doesn't want any spirit treasure, spells, or magic arts. She just looks at you without joy or sorrow, as if tempting her with treasures is a big mistake. Cyan Phoenix claps his hands and everything is gone. For the first time, he looks at White Fairy, who is standing aside, but he gives her a warning look. White Fairy is confused. However, Cyan Phoenix transforms into its original form again. It flaps Lin Luoran's wings on its back and carries her to the high sky. White Fairy curls her lips. It turns out that he is warning her not to follow. Riding on the back of a strange beast and overlooking the entire Penglai, the ethereal and magnificent feeling lingers. There were strange flowers and fruits on the mountain, exquisite immortal palaces on the mountain, and gurgling streams on the mountain. A flower, a grass, a brick, a tile, and even an inconspicuous rock on the side of the road were all extraordinary treasures to ordinary cultivators. Cyan Phoenix has been taking Lin Luoran to fly all over Mount Penglai. Seeing that the little female cultivator's eyes are blurred, it says in a tempting voice, "In fact, this wish even includes the entire Mount Penglai. Immortals are hard to find. From now on, you will be the master of the entire overseas continent. You will live above immortals and receive incense from all people." Little female cultivator, do you like this wish? Which cultivator doesn't want to be immortal, achieve Tao, and become an immortal? Now the shortcut in front of Lin Luoran allows her to overcome all kinds of difficulties on the road of personal ability enhancement and avoid the risk of even death. The master of a spirit mountain. The god of a continent. Is it enough to charm people? Lin Luoran's eyes are more blurred and she seems to be swaying. Cyan Phoenix looks at her quietly with some sarcasm in its eyes. He is about to turn over and throw Lin Luoran down. However, he hears the female cultivator saying in a regretful tone, "It's a very tempting wish. Unfortunately, I am stupid. Maybe I can't manage Spirit Mountain and Overseas Continent well. I still insist on my original wish, which is to get the spirit medicine to shape the Taoist root for my mother." Without looking back, Cyan Phoenix can feel that Lin Luoran even clenches her fists to express her attitude. Well, this little female cultivator of the human race is a rare person with a firm mind. Cyan Phoenix finally puts Lin Luoran on the ground and transforms into a human again. The frost on his face melts a lot this time and he looks sincere. Your wish will come true. Will it come true? Her dream of many years and what she has been chasing across thousands of mountains now becomes within reach. Lin Luoran turns from astonishment to surprise. Her eyes turn red involuntarily. Cyan Phoenix doesn't seem to expect that this strong-minded female cultivator will cry. He stands still for a while and then tells Lin Luoran the whole story. It turns out that his promise to give her Spirit Mountain is the final test. Lin Luoran is the fourth person to pass the final test since ancient times. Since Li Yishan's poem once mentioned the clue of Mount Penglai, there must be people in the powerful world of cultivation who know about the legend of Mount Penglai. Some people go all the way and find the real Mount Penglai. However, those amazing senior cultivators all fail at the final test. No matter what they ask for at the beginning, when they hear that Spirit Mountain is given to them and they are the god of the overseas continent, they will be confused. White Fairy congratulates Lin Luoran. Cyan Phoenix puts a beam of light between Lin Luoran's eyebrows. In fact, you can shape the Taoist root for your mother. I don't want to take advantage of you, so I return the power of faith to you. Goodbye, little female cultivator. Lin Luoran doesn't have time to look at the light ball. She says in astonishment, "Are you leaving?" Cyan Phoenix nods. It transforms into the phoenix form again and spreads its wings to fly. Lin Luoran suddenly thinks of the promise she made to the rank 9 monster in the monster forest. She asks the question quickly. Cyan Phoenix laughs. They are really creative. Immortals are fair. How can they do such a dirty thing? Hey, you don't have to worry about this anymore. The existence of the monster forest is to protect those little things. The reason is not something you can know with your current state. Forget it. In order to keep your promise, I will go to the monster forest for you. Lin Luoran nods and then checks the information flashing in her mind. However, she is stunned when she sees it. It turns out that the power to shape the Taoist root for her mother is really what she has? She is in a trance and doesn't notice that the figure of Cyan Phoenix has gradually faded. Before it completely disappears, the phoenix mutters to itself, "Everyone in the world is obsessed with Tao." However, they don't know how to prove Tao if they lose their initial persistence in a long time. The little girl is destined to be an immortal. There will be a chance to see her again in the future. Chapter 412. White Fairy is in a daze because of what Cyan Phoenix said before it disappeared. The so-called initial persistence pokes the weakness in her heart. White Fairy is suddenly enlightened. Maybe this is the reason why she was trapped in the period of gathering vitality. It's just that it's too late to be enlightened now. It's a pity. Cyan Phoenix returns the extracted power of faith. Before Lin Luoran has time to be happy about the solution to her mother's Taoist root problem, the sharp pain in her ocean of consciousness makes her squat down holding her head. Her whole body is covered with cold sweat. The sacred bead sends bursts of coolness to relieve her pain. However, Lin Luoran still falls into a semi-conscious state soon. White Fairy can't help, so she can only escape into space. Because the soul stone she lives in has been in space for a long time, it has been contaminated with the breath of space. As a soul, White Fairy can't seize the management right, so space acquiesces to her entry and exit at will. Well, it should be at will. If she wants to come out, she needs Lin Luoran, the owner of space. Fire Phoenix, Silver Fish, and Wood Wolf are 3 semi-spiritual monsters. When White Fairy comes in, they are having a round-table meeting under the apple tree. Seeing her come in, Fire Phoenix nods as a greeting. White Fairy is furious. Aren't you worried about her at all? Silver Fish doesn't know that they have been classified as cold-blooded monsters in White Fairy's mind. It explains in a good temper. Fire Phoenix said that Linny is condensing her godhead. It's a very important moment and we can't disturb her. White Fairy is stunned. What does condensing her godhead mean? She wakes up this time and finds that Lin Luoran has had many adventures. At this moment, she suddenly hears a term she doesn't understand. Although she is still confused, she probably understands that it's not that Fire Phoenix and the others are not worried. It should be that Lin Luoran is crossing the barrier and they can't help her. Lin Luoran's ocean of consciousness seems to be gnawed by thousands of ants. She is so stubborn that she can't help but cry in a low voice because of the pain. It's really painful. The fly Apsara's painted sculpture in the ocean of consciousness suddenly collapses and turns into tiny fragments. The entire ocean of consciousness is almost fragmented. Tens of thousands of faith groups in the ocean of consciousness rush forward to help the painted sculpture to reglue it. However, because they are doing their own thing, they are in a state of disunity. Lin Luoran grits her teeth to command the light of faith. However, she seems to be very rusty due to her lack of experience. This doesn't save her from the collapse of her ocean of consciousness. With the collapse of her ocean of consciousness, the light of faith floats out of her body. This is Lin Luoran's last thought. In the ruins of the ocean of consciousness, after Lin Luoran passes out, a weak and soft light appears. If she had been awake, she would have recognized the teardrops that the little girl had mixed with her. It used to be hidden in the depths of the flying Apsara's painted sculpture. It was only when the painted sculpture collapsed into pieces that it officially appeared. The teardrop lit up the dark ocean of consciousness, guiding the light of faith that had left his body to fly back. In the space, the Fire Phoenix secretly breathes a sigh of relief. A moment later, if the tears don't work, the faith group will leave her body for a long time. Not to mention condensing Godhead, Lin Luoran's personal ability will be destroyed. It will be normal for her to die in Penglai. That was why it was said that great opportunities were always accompanied by great dangers. The Fire Phoenix sighs and stops paying attention to Lin Luoran's current state. She was still unconscious. However, her ocean of consciousness is also busy. Under the guidance of the teardrop, the light of faith groups work together like playing a jigsaw puzzle. They put the pieces of the collapsed painted sculpture back little by little. The fragments are scattered all over the ocean of consciousness and they can't make any mistakes. Therefore, the light of faith groups move very slowly. Time passes quietly and Lin Luoran has not woken up. The bead seems to finally be unable to resist the temptation of Reiki. While its master is asleep, it begins to steal the abundant Reiki of this spirit mountain. The spirit mountain can absorb Reiki inexhaustible. The space is not large and it can't use so much. Spirit herbs, vegetables and fruits benefit a lot. Lin Luoran, the sleeping master, also gets a lot of benefits. Lin Luoran's sleep is very deep. The 4 golden elixirs in her ocean of Reiki are running wildly as if they have taken a Herculean pill. They are not afraid of exploding and killing their master. Reiki is free. The wacken in her meridians is getting thicker and thicker like the tide of the sea. Her personal ability is rising so fast that even the Fire Phoenix is alarmed. If she continues to sleep like this, she may break her inner bolus and condense her gathering vitality in a short time. Penglai's Reiki is inexhaustible. However, it is not good for Lin Luoran to form her gathering vitality in such a short time. Wake up, wake up. The Fire Phoenix frowns secretly and makes the prayer it used to despise the most. If you are watching her from a distance, please wake her up quickly. The person it prays to is unknown. Obviously, it is a mighty figure who can make the Fire Phoenix fear. No one knows if the voice of the Fire Phoenix can really reach the sky. On the eve of gathering vitality, the light of faith groups in Lin Luoran's ocean of consciousness finally finish their work. The Fly Apsara's painted sculpture is restored. Lying on the ground, Lin Luoran turns around slowly. When the confusion in her eyes disappears and she checks her physical condition, she almost screams even though she is calm. The change in the ocean of consciousness is fine. After all, she has got tens of thousands of power of faith. She has been mentally prepared. However, the wacken in her body is so dense and shining that it is not the previous middle-bearing essence period at all. Lin Luoran is shocked. Everything that has happened to her reminds her of a very appropriate adjective, advancing triumphantly. Little girl, you are unexpectedly lucky. White Fairy takes the lead and walks down the mountain path. She will never admit that her tone is somewhat jealous. She is so talented that it takes her 600 years to reach the level of gathering vitality. However, Lin Luoran makes breakthroughs in a dozen years and almost reaches the level of gathering vitality. Of course, Lin Luoran can't believe it. Lin Luoran smiles bitterly. Fairy, don't laugh at me. A big breakthrough in a short time may not be a good thing for future cultivation. The change in the ocean of consciousness is not the most important thing. After waking up, her personal ability leaps from the middle-bearing essence period to the late-bearing essence period like a rocket. Lin Luoran is not unhappy about it. However, when she thinks of the inexplicable advancement, she feels somewhat distressed and guilty. Since entering Mount Penglai, it has only been 2 or 3 years for her to complete the realm from the early-bearing essence period to the late-bearing essence period, which other cultivators may not be able to achieve in their lifetime. Happiness comes too fast. It is not realistic. Besides, the lack of corresponding state of mind is also a big problem. Seeing that Lin Luoran is not pretending, White Fairy also changes the topic. Lin Luoran is relaxed because she knows the secret method of shaping the Taoist root for mortals. She temporarily lets go of her worries about advancement and talks with White Fairy along the way. They only discuss some spells that can be used in the bearing essence period. The atmosphere becomes harmonious. Lin Luoran even plans to thank the 7th Prince Sang Yi, who used to be annoying after leaving Penglai. She also wants to see how Miss Mu is doing now and whether her children are happy. Of course, it is also in Lin Luoran's plan to see if Aji, a simple and honest young man who is determined to learn martial arts, has started. She also promises the rank 9 monster to ask why immortals are so heartless. Although Cyan Phoenix promises to pass on the message, Lin Luoran still wants to fulfill her promise in person. If she rides on the sword, it will only take a short time to solve these trivial things, right? Lin Luoran has an intuition that she may not have the chance to come to Penglai again. Therefore, she wants to see those people she meets by chance. Walking to the floating stone road, Lin Luoran looks back at Spirit Mountain. She waved her hand in a silly way to say goodbye to the wonderful days in Spirit Mountain. She calms herself down and steps on the floating stone that takes the initiative to pick her up. This time doesn't work and she passes the floating stone road smoothly. Chapter 4:13. The time of space transmission is very short. Only those who have experienced it can feel the claustrophobia of the space tunnel. When Lin Luoran stands still, she feels the dazzling light before she opens her eyes. Then she finds that her body is soaking in the water. The waves are surging and the smell is a bit unpleasant. The air is also very dirty. It is full of the gray mist that she hates. Lin Luoran casts a shield to isolate the stinky water from the air. Then she begins to look at her environment. She is now standing in the middle of a sea. The sea stinks and there is a lot of garbage floating. The sun is high in the sky and the sun is dazzling. If many of the floating garbage are plastic bags, Lin Luoran will think that she is teleported to the Sea of Sin again after coming out of Mount Penglai. There are no plastic bags in the Sea of Sin. Then where is this place? The sun is scorching in the sky. The seawater and air are seriously polluted. It is not like the earth. Ordinary people can't survive in such an environment. Lin Luoran sighs. It seems that the Spirit Mountain transmission is also a counterfeit. Let alone whether she is teleported to a heavily polluted planet or not, her wish to see Sang Yi and others will be in vain. After experiencing so many things, Lin Luoran is more and more adaptable to circumstances. Since there is white plastic garbage in the sea, it means that there is an intelligent civilization on this planet. She suspects that the local aborigines have rushed out of the planet and into the stars. Otherwise, who would be willing to ruin the planet they rely on? Lin Luoran is trying to pick up a floating plastic bag from the stinky sea to study it. However, there is a strange sound behind her. With the sound of splashing water, something is breaking out of the water to attack. Lin Luoran doesn't seem to notice the abnormality. However, when she lowers her head, her eyes can't help but narrow. She doesn't need to look back. With her spiritual mind, she can see, behind her. It is a big head fish breaking out of the water. Lin Luoran squints because the big head fish has steel teeth and a pair of long legs like a mantis. How can a fish look like this? Lin Luoran feels that the water monster contains a very mottled energy. She is more and more convinced that this can't be the earth. The thing is extremely fast. Seeing that Lin Luoran is not prepared, it swings its long legs to her. The mantis-like long legs look extremely sharp in the sunlight. Lin Luoran's neck is about to be cut off. Lin Luoran waves her sword backhandedly and the head of the fish is separated from its body. Its eyes were still filled with malevolence. This short moment was not enough for it to realize its current situation. The head flew into the air and then fell down. The headless body still twitched a few times, and the big-headed fish was finally dead. Looking at the green blood flowing out of the wound, Lin Luoran feels nauseous. She was not a delicate person, but cultivators loved cleanliness. The heavily polluted seawater and air here, coupled with the ugly water monsters, made it hard for her to accept it. It seems that because of the smell of blood, there is something in the distance. Lin Luoran picks up the head of the big-headed fish that fell into the sea. She casts the wind-riding spell and flies to the sea, waiting quietly. Sure enough, after a short while, a group of strange aquatic creatures rushed over and snatched the corpse of the mantis monster. It is inevitable to fight for food. The color of the Black Sea soon looks like a dye house. It turns out that not all the blood of the water monsters is green. Seeing the familiar red blood, Lin Luoran is much more receptive. She summons the bright sword and stands on the sword to dissect the big-headed fish's head. A group of mottled energy is hidden in it. Lin Luoran takes out something that looks like a monster bolus from the green blood. It contains abundant energy. Different from the monster bolus, Reiki is only a part of it. Most of it is the gray energy substance that Lin Luoran hates. Such a thing is not qualified for alchemy or cultivation. Lin Luoran casually puts the bead away. She flies very slowly on the sword. Most of the monsters she meets along the way are swimming in the water. There are also flying monsters in the air, such as strange birds and mosquitoes bigger than people. For Lin Luoran in the late bearing essence period, most of them are weak. The most powerful ones are only at the level of rank 3 or 4 monsters, which makes her feel a little relieved about the strength of this world. At first, she didn't support the mini-world. Those things are trying to kill her. She also wants to have a try. However, after killing many of them and getting a bunch of useless inner boluses, she feels bored. She changes the spell of the sword and flies in a certain direction. She walks so fast that she misses a pair of eyes floating on the water. The hill-like body makes those water monsters and waterfowl very scared. It turns out to be a big turtle, which looks very clumsy. Looking at the sword light disappearing in the sky, it sinks to the stinky bottom of the sea again. Lin Luoran chooses a direction and flies for a while. Soon she sees land with her spiritual mind. Some steel ships are sunk and stranded on the shore. The Black Sea is surging. Lin Luoran is stunned and speechless. The paint on the ship has peeled off a lot. She can vaguely recognize that it is the language of Huaxia. How is it possible? There is no such sea in Huaxia. In just a few years, there can't be so many monsters on the ground. Lin Luoran is at a loss. Her spiritual mind spreads out completely. Within 100 miles, she recognizes many landmark buildings. She is a little familiar with this place. Although most of the buildings have collapsed and are dilapidated, the words that have not been eroded by wind and rain still prove that this is Yantai City where she lived before she went to sea. Why does the Bohai Bay become like this? Lin Luoran's lips are a little pale. There are ruins and monsters within 100 miles. There is no human figure, which makes her have a bad feeling. She holds back the surprise in her heart, identifies the direction and flies to the R city. Beautiful rivers and mountains are everywhere. Famous mountains are destroyed. There is no trace of human activities in the cities she sees along the way. When Lin Luoran lands in the Lin's house in the R city, she can hardly recognize that the ruins around the scorched land are the former land of abundance. The blue walls have collapsed, the black tiles are gone, and the strange flowers and plants in the yard can't even be seen. Among the rubble, 2 ugly beetles were digging for food. When they smelled the fresh blood, they swarmed over like crazy. Lin Luoran's face is blank. After they hit the protective cover, she raises her hand and kills them. The brown blood splashes on the protective cover. Lin Luoran crouches down and buries her head between her knees. The Lin's house, the home she built and strengthened with all her heart, is now only a pile of rubble and broken walls. Mr. Lin, Mrs. Lin, Luodong, Zheng Tian, Yuan Yi, Lucy, Goldie? Where are they? Lin Luoran is at a loss. She suddenly wipes away the tears on the corner of her eyes and comforts herself. Maybe the Lin family is in the Qingqing villa. Calm down, she has to calm down. These monsters are extremely difficult for ordinary people to deal with, but Mr. Lin and the others are cultivators. It should be no problem for them to deal with these small monsters. She has to find her family first and figure out what happened. Lin Luoran casts a spell of sword and flies to Qingqing villa. Looking at the scorched land on Mount Qingqing from afar, her heart suddenly sinks to the bottom of the sea. The iron door was rusty, and it had been deformed by some unknown object. The villa is a mess. The medicine, vegetable, and fruit trees are all withered. The room is messy. Only a few iron appliances fall in the villa, full of rust. These things make Lin Luoran desperate. There is no one alive in Qingqing villa. She stumbles to Qingqing Taoist temple. The top of the hill has been flattened by some weapon. Where is the hill in the past? Thinking of the power of the yin and yang dust circle mentioned by the crazy Taoist, Lin Luoran tells herself that the sleeping Baojia must be fine. Following her memory, she finds the place where Qingqing Taoist temple used to be. However, she sees a crack deep into the ground on the flattened hill. Faint wood reiki leaks from the crack. Lin Luoran is stunned. How did the circle open? How did it open? She suddenly goes crazy and goes down along the crack. Under the stone steps, the tall soul wood has withered. Several wolf-like monsters with green eyes lie on the ground and absorb wood reiki. They look at Lin Luoran warily. With their limited wisdom, they still can't figure out why this sweet human is crying. Baojia, Baojia, are you not here anymore? Lin Luoran screams to the sky. Her voice is sharp and she doesn't hide her personal ability of bearing essence at all. Under the pressure, all the monsters in our city, big or small, are trembling, not to mention the wolves in front of her. What happened? Chapter 4:14. Lin Luoran doesn't know how she walks down Mount Qingqing. She is so muddle-headed that she doesn't even listen to the comfort of Fire Phoenix and White Fairy. She walks aimlessly in the ruined Rong city. The once beautiful square is now full of big pits and cracks. The statues of the great people have collapsed and the electronic crystal screen has long been broken into the size of mosaic. Has the entire Huaxia become a ruin? A yellowed and incomplete newspaper is blown up. The entire street is empty and even all kinds of monsters and beasts are scared away by Lin Luoran. The newspaper spins and floats in front of her. Lin Luoran is stunned and reaches out to catch it. The news on the front page is a photo of a beautiful female anchor with a sea of stars in the background. The title is a bit sensational. 2051, the unprecedented dialogue between aliens and the Earth. 2051? Lin Luoran's pupils shrink. She remembers that it was the new year of 2019 when she left Bohai Bay. Did she actually delay for 30 years in Mount Penglai? Her mother was nearly 60 years old when she left. Lin Luoran's eyes are a little angry. 90 years old. With the support of elixirs and spirit herbs of the Lin family, it is not impossible for Mrs. Lin to live to 90 years old without illness. She selectively forgets the timeliness of newspapers. If this year is 2051, how can the newspaper paper be yellowed and brittle? Rong City will not be scorched black in just a few days. However, a drowning person grasps a life-saving straw and will not think carefully. Lin Luoran is a little angry. She remembers that the Lin family still has the last base and flies to Dongting on her sword. Before seeing Mount June, she sees the green willows by Dongting Lake. Although the whole city is surrounded by high walls and there are many people patrolling on the wall with weapons, Lin Luoran is very happy because she sees living human beings. Lin Luoran almost weeps with joy and lands on Mount June. Strangely, there are no traces of tourists on Mount June. It probably still looks the same as before, but in front of Lu Yiwell, there is a painted sculpture exactly like her with fluttering ribbons. The 4 words, Mortal Heart Fairy, are written vigorously. Obviously, it is written by a famous artist. Who built a statue for her? Lin Luoran feels strange. She notices that the water coming out of Lu Yiwell is very clear, which proves that Dongting Lake is not polluted like Bohai Bay. Lin Luoran is more confident about the inference that her family is in the Dragon Palace. Without the support of Lin's pharmaceutical factory, the purification project of Dongting waters will not be maintained so well. Looking at the green willows by the lake, Lin Luoran even has a faint smile at this moment. Lin Luoran has already given the golden seal of the Dragon Palace to Yuan Yi. Now it seems that it is the right decision. No matter what happened in Huaxia or on Earth, as long as the Lin family hid in the Dragon Palace, they would be safe. Lin Luoran walks into the water slowly, thinking about what kind of surprise she should give her family. She is not worried about the fact that her mother may be getting old. She must build the best Taoist route for her mother so that she can catch up with her later. So what if she started to cultivate at the age of 90? There must be a solution. With a flash of golden light, Lin disappears. The golden inner hall of the Dragon Palace appeared in front of her. Lin Luoran said nervously, "I'm back." I'm back, I'm back. Her voice echoes in the empty hall. Lin Luoran is nervous because she has been gone for 30 years. She doesn't know how worried the Lin family is. She is looking forward to it but also afraid. Even the youngest Cui Wanlu is 40 years old. This girl is very talented. Her Taoist route is slow to advance. Now she is at most in her early 20s. Lin Luoran just doesn't know if she is still as naughty and cunning as she was when she was a child. Lin Luoran waits for a long time. She doesn't see her family coming out. Her optimistic mood is a little bit bleak. Maybe they are in the treasure house of the Dragon Palace? It's normal that she can't hear her voice. Lin Luoran walks slowly to the Dragon Palace garden. There is a sound of water in the huge fish pond. The group of lobsters and koi fish is great. The leading golden koi has already generated Reiki and has a lot of wisdom. It looks at her with its eyes wide open. After thinking for a while, it becomes affectionate again. Lin knows that the big golden fish has recognized her. She is a little happy. She throws a few peaches down to attract the fish to fight for them. It looks like a reincarnated hungry ghost who hasn't eaten for hundreds of years. Lin Luoran feels relaxed and enters the treasure house with a smile. Because the golden carp diverts her attention, Lin Luoran doesn't find that although there are many exotic flowers and plants in the royal garden of the Dragon Palace, there are some signs of neglect. It seems that no one has lived here for a long time. I'm back. Lin Luoran suppresses the anxiety in her heart and walks through several palaces step by step. The voice is empty. There is still no trace of the Lin family in the palace of Jiahua. Lin Luoran walks slower and slower. She feels more and more desperate. Lin Luoran holds her breath until she arrives at the Hall of Nothingness. It seems that she has crossed thousands of years. There is still no one here. It doesn't matter if no one is here. Maybe they have gone out? The Lin family won't all go out. As a family member, Lin Luoran knows better than anyone else how cautious they are. More importantly, there is no trace of human life here. There are no pots, pans, bedding and clothes. The Lin family is not like Lin Luoran who can live without food. If they are in the Dragon Palace, there must be traces of fire. When Lin Luoran finds a few lines of words in the corner of the hall, she is even more desperate. Grandmaster, when will you come back? Lucy misses you so much. Everyone misses you so much. What should I do? I feel that I can't hold on any longer. It is signed by Lucy in 2058. It has been 7 years since the yellowed newspaper she saw in the R City Square. Did the Lin family stay in the Dragon Palace in 2058? Why did Lucy say that she couldn't hold on any longer? What is threatening the safety of the Lin family? This is the Dragon Palace. How can outsiders find it? Lin Luoran has too many questions in her heart and she needs to find someone to answer them. She stumbles to the side hall where the food was stored. There are still thousands of kilograms of spirit rice piled up in the corner without any dust. If it is not food, what is bothering the Lin family? Lin Luoran falls to the ground and feels sad. 2058. It has been almost 40 years. Is Mrs. Lin, the only ordinary person in the Lin family, still alive? What's more, it has been more than 40 years. Lin Luoran flashes out of the Dongting Dragon Palace. On the shore of the lake, a strong man is whispering to another girl. He is caught by Lin Luoran unexpectedly. The face in front of him is so beautiful that the man is absent-minded. The beautiful woman says clearly, "Look at my eyes." What a pair of eyes. They are like the most beautiful stars. The man feels that there is a whirlpool hidden in them, which is going to suck people's mind. Soul search. In the space, White Fairy comes out of the soul stone. Lin Luoran, calm down. Don't use soul search easily. You may be backfired in your current state. Lin Luoran doesn't listen to White Fairy's warning. Seeing the man's stupefied face, Lin Luoran is about to ask him something. The young girl who has been ignored for a long time suddenly exclaims, You are Mortal Heart Fairy. The madness in Lin Luoran's heart is extinguished by this charming voice. She realizes what she has done when she comes to herself. Lin Luoran finally realizes that she tried to use soul search on an ordinary person out of impulse. She feels guilty and lets go of the man's clothes unnaturally. The young girl has no time to pay attention to the man. Her cheeks are red and she can't hide the excitement in her heart. She confirms again and again, "Are you really Mortal Heart Fairy?" Lin Luren nods, "I dare not call myself fairy. My name is Mortal Heart." The young girl is so excited that she can't speak after hearing it. After a while, she actually cries. The man also gradually wakes up and recognizes Lin Luoran in a blink of an eye. Looking at the excited couple, Lin Luoran is confused. She remembers that she doesn't know this young man and woman. How can they make this expression? When the girl stops crying, Lin Luan says, "May I ask you a question?" The girl nods and stares at her expectantly. She would probably never forget this day. Beside Dongting Lake, she met the Mortal Heart Fairy who had disappeared for many years. The fairy was really extraordinary. Most importantly, as the believers said, the fairy did not abandon everyone. The beautiful and refined Mortal Heart Fairy's voice is a little obscure. "I want to ask, what year is it today?" "What year is it today?" The little girl is stunned. Thinking that the heavenly palace doesn't know the time, she smiles and answers with great certainty, "Today is July 8th, 301 of the new calendar. In the old Gregorian calendar, it is 2330. Chapter 415. In the year 2028, China officially announced the initial success of the manned spacecraft and publicly announced the successful test flight on New Year's Day 2029. The test flight was a success and brought back Pluto's pebbles and fossilized plant seeds. In the year 2031, China took the lead in the Moon modification project. Initial results were achieved in 2047. Humans finally had a second habitable planet in the solar system. In 2050, the Moon Immigration Plan was launched, and a total of 5 million people moved to the Moon. In 2051 AD, the Earth receives an interstellar signal, and the people of the world are in an uproar. 2 weeks later, the radio waves are translated. The Alpha Alliance will officially take over the Earth. Don't make unnecessary resistance. Please cooperate. The higher-ups of various countries were in an uproar and sent envoys to the Moon to negotiate. On September 1, 2051 AD, the negotiation officially failed when the Alpha Alliance spacecraft launched energy cannons to blow up Paris, the world's famous capital. The envoys were all killed. The heroes that history should remember were Huaxia country's General Mu Tianqing, Huaxia country's Major General Pei Jinfeng, Russia's Abacom. Huaxia, together with other countries in the world, organizes warships and mecha troops to resist the Alpha Alliance. During the war, the country of Huaxia provided many psionic weapons. It united other countries and destroyed 4 starships of the Alpha Alliance. In 2053, the global war of resistance once won the counterattack. In October 2053, the ozone layer, which had protected Earth for thousands of years, was completely destroyed by the war. A large amount of unknown matter from the universe poured in, and the creatures on Earth evolved and mutated. In 2058, the Alpha Alliance sends more battleships. Creatures other than human beings on the Earth have evolved to terrifying strength. The air is polluted and the water is not suitable for drinking. Most importantly, the land is almost completely mutated and crops can no longer grow. With internal and external troubles, the global situation was critical. At the end of 2058, the Alpha Alliance occupied 60% of the world's land and tightened its encirclement around Huaxia. In the same year, Huaxia cultivators sneak into Iraq behind the Alpha Alliance. They open the legendary ancient Babylon Tower of Babel and launch the Earth's ultimate defense, the Shelter of Gods. The interstellar army of the Alpha Alliance is completely annihilated, and more than half of the mutant creatures on the Earth are annihilated. Huaxia cultivators and cultivators with special abilities from all over the world disappear after the Shelter of Gods is launched. In 2059, the Alpha Alliance announces the end of its invasion of the Earth. There are less than 100 million people left on the Earth, and they finally get a break. The national boundaries were broken, and the Earth was ruled by the Federation. The time of the manned flight of the Chinese spacecraft in the past was set as the year 0 of the new era, which meant that humans on Earth had begun the era of stars. In May of the same year, the Earth was incorporated into the Alpha Alliance and became a rank 1 member star of the Alliance. The defense war that had lasted for 8 Earth years had finally come to an end. In 2062, reconstruction was difficult. The Alpha Alliance extended help to the Earth and sent peacekeeping forces to the Himalayas on the Earth. In August of the same year, the Alpha Alliance provided the Earthlings with expensive gene evolution fluid. The genetic evolution of humans on Earth had achieved a major breakthrough. As the administrative center of the Earth Federation, Dongting City can be called a paradise in the whole world. Since the successful reconstruction of the Moon in 2208, Pluto has also been developed with the assistance of the Alpha Alliance. More and more humans have migrated away. Whether the humans who stay on the Earth or those who leave, Dongting City's position as the mainstay has not declined for so many years. Compared with Renzhou Star, the waters of Dongting preserve the last fertile land of the Earth's nature. It is favored by the dignitaries and the top rich. There is drinkable lake water and lakeside paddy fields that can be planted on fertile soil. Only in Dongting City can people eat food that really matures in the soil after a long growth cycle, instead of various fruits and vegetables ripened by organic nutrients. If you can afford crystal coins, you can also taste Dongting hairy crabs that have been banned for a long time in the black market. People who have never eaten them can't understand how attractive the golden crab paste is from words. For the sake of air quality, buses and subways have been built in this paradise. Except for the government, the army and transport vehicles necessary for residents' daily life, private vehicles are prohibited from entering. The rules have become more and more relaxed over the past 200 years. However, every federal citizen is still proud of being able to apply for Dongting's household registration. Crystal coins are actually a virtual credit line. Every federal citizen will be bound to a personal computer when he is born. Personal computers replaced the ID cards and bank cards before the new era. As for crystal coins, in addition to doing odd jobs in the city, hunting mutant animals outside the city is the fastest way to get money. The crystals in the body of mutant animals are not only the source of energy for the operation of the city, but also the fur can be made into clothes. Beast meat is the main source of meat for Earthlings. The difficulty of food and clothing is only temporary. When human beings gradually stand up from the disaster, they find that the lack of civilization is far more terrible than the lack of food and clothing. In the early years of technological progress on the Earth, paper books were called to stop because they were not environmentally friendly. However, the electronic database was almost destroyed in the war. In the days of fighting with the Alpha Alliance and mutant monsters on the Earth, no one has the mind to care about those yellowed paper books. Civilization is almost broken. If it weren't for a huge database backed up by Huaxia, Earthlings might have to pass on knowledge by word of mouth again. Because of this, books have become very important today in the year 301 of the new era. In the afternoon of July 9th, 301 of the new era, the Dongting Library, the most glorious building in Dongting City, is divided into small electronic reading rooms. A beautiful woman takes off the reading glasses on her face and thanks the boy who is blushing next to her. "Thank you so much. There is something wrong with my personal computer and I can't use crystal coins. Without your kind help, I can't find the information as I wish today." The boy's face is redder. The young woman in front of him is not very beautiful. Compared with human beings after the evolution of the new era, her appearance is by no means the best. However, her eyes are shining, lighting up some soft and beautiful facial features. More importantly, he always feels that this young woman looks very familiar, which makes him feel inexplicably at ease. The young woman looks at the consumption limit shown on the crystal screen and feels a little embarrassed. 100 crystal coins. It's really expensive to read at this time. She thinks for a while, takes out a mutant monster's inner bolus and hands it to the boy. There is a touch of bright blue in the gray. The boy is surprised. There is an inner bolus detection light wave on the personal computer. He takes the bead and gently scans it. The dazzling value almost makes him drop the thing in his hand to the ground. The full value is 100 and the value of this thing is 81. That is to say, this is the inner bolus of a rank 8 mutant monster. The official recycling price can also be sold for 10,000 crystal coins, let alone the black market. It doesn't cost so much money to just read for less than half an hour. The boy looks up and wants to return the inner bolus to the young woman. However, he finds that he is the only one left in the narrow single reading room. The boy is a little upset and disappointed. It's the first time that he has seen how rich people are. It's really exciting. However, thinking that his sister has not been injected with gene evolution fluid at the age of 14, this rank 8 inner bolus is more than the money he has saved in these years. The boy is a little glad that the young woman is generous. Holding the valuable inner bolus in his hand, he is not in the mood to read and goes straight out of Dongting Library. Coming down from the landmark building with 100 floors, he waits for 5 minutes and then a maglev bus passes by. The boy jumps on the bus easily. On the way, he holds the bead in his hand. The more he thinks about it, the more he feels that the young woman just now is very familiar. Hey, where on earth have I seen her? He looks out of the window and sees the lake with hanging green willows. Suddenly he is stunned. Ah, she looks like Mortal Heart Fairy. The boy is shocked and can't help but whisper. Seeing the inquiring eyes of other passengers on the bus, he quickly lowers his head. Maybe she just looks like her? After all, she hasn't shown up for so many years. She is more like a legend existing in the old era. The boy can't help but think of the history textbook he read when he was young. It records the heroes from all over the world and Huaxia after the outbreak of the Earth Defense War and human beings were forced into desperation. Not to mention the cultivators who actively participated in the war and the major event that the Shelter of Gods was opened, Mount June is even more mysterious. It is said that in addition to Mortal Heart Fairy, the 2 concubines of ancient times also appeared on Mount June. He has never seen those legends with his own eyes. Similarly, although Mortal Heart Fairy didn't show up in the past, she sheltered Dongting for 800 miles, leaving the world's only usable fresh water source and arable land. There are also believers to prove that when fighting with mutant monsters, there is a warm current in the body every time they are in danger, which supports them to escape from death. More and more surviving Huaxia people believe in the existence of Mortal Heart Fairy. In that era when faith almost collapsed, faith supported them to get through the most difficult war and reconstruction years. However, 200 or 300 years have passed and Mortal Heart Fairy hasn't shown up even once. In his generation, there are fewer and fewer people who sincerely believe in her. Human beings have entered the interstellar era. It is really difficult for the younger generation to believe in feudal superstition. The boy takes back his eyes from the lake. The dazzling cruise ship is parked on it. Isn't fishing and hunting prohibited? When human beings are temporarily safe, the corruption of the privileged class always comes out at the right time. He hides the sarcasm in his eyes and clenches the inner bolus in his hand. In a world where faith has collapsed, the only way to survive and practice higher martial arts is to live, isn't it? The boy feels the temperature of the inner bolus in his hand. Thinking of his younger sister who is young but has outstanding spiritual potential, he feels that life is generally not bad. In the magnificent Dragon Palace, Lin Luoran closes her eyes to digest the information she has read this afternoon. Then she opens her eyes. With just this bit of information, what she knew was superficial. History was written by the victors. Without more accurate information, she had no way of deducing what had happened that year. However, the opening of the Tower of Babel in 2058 and the so-called Shelter of Gods has provided some clues for the whereabouts of the Lin family. Lin Luoran has experienced the mysteries of the Tower of Babel, and she has a deep understanding of the time and space node. If all the cultivators disappeared at that time, Lin Luoran has a bold guess. Maybe they were sent to another planet or a different time and space. If they didn't die in the battle to defend the Earth, the Lin family would have enough spirit herbs and elixirs. If they could cultivate to the level of bearing essence, they could live for 500 years. Now they still have a good chance to survive. She subconsciously ignores Mrs. Lin. It has been 300 years since they last met. She feels like it happened yesterday. If she wants to find the whereabouts of her family, she must go to the Tower of Babel. However, she must integrate into this world first. And Baojia. Since the crazy Taoist guaranteed the power of the yin-yang dust circle, it doesn't make sense that it can be easily broken by alien technology. Those mutant monsters in the eyes of ordinary people are no threat to cultivators with the help of magic weapons. Of course, they can't break the circle door. It is very likely that Baojia wakes up by herself. Lin Luoran just doesn't know when Baojia wakes up and whether she caught up with the evacuation of cultivators or the missing army. Is there not a single cultivator on the earth today? The crazy Taoist is so powerful, and there is a female monster like Yang Lisha on the earth. It is possible that there are more powerful figures hiding behind. Thinking of this, Lin Luoran feels that the Lin family is still alive. After sorting out her thoughts, she has a goal to fight for in her heart. In White Fairy's words, she seems to have come back to life and is no longer lifeless. So what's your plan now? White Fairy fiddles with the fish pond in the Dragon Palace and turns her head to ask. Lin Luoran tells her about her plan to stay on the earth temporarily to explore for clues. White Fairy also agrees. As a native female cultivator who has been dead for more than 1,000 years, Lin Luoran knows without asking that White Fairy is just like her. They are reluctant to leave the planet under their feet, where they were born and grew up. People always know how to cherish things after they lose them. White Fairy, who was high and mighty in the past, never cared about the land under her feet. When it is not what it used to be, she feels a strong reluctance and nostalgia. Lin Luoran doesn't like the Alpha Galaxy Alliance, which destroys her home and finally takes the Earth into the Alliance as if they are doing them a favor. She has learned a lot of common sense about the new era. The so-called Rank 1 member star is just the lowest position in trade dumping and mineral plunder. If it weren't for the fact that the Star General Law has severely punished the development of colonial stars in recent years, the Alpha Alliance wouldn't have arranged a dignified title of Rank 1 member star for the Earth. Lin Luoran can't help but feel a little annoyed when thinking about this. She feels that she can't ignore the fact that her birthplace has become a colony. However, she has no idea how to do it. She is not arrogant enough to fight against the endless battleships and mecha army of the Alpha Alliance with her personal ability in the late Bearing Essence period. It is really lonely to live alone in the huge Dragon Palace. Lin Luoran decides to get the identity of an ordinary person first. Perhaps the law of the universe itself contains a dark side. Lin Luoran searches the location of the trading market with her spiritual mind. It is in Juzhou before the beginning of the new era. Now it is a radiation area of Dongting City. It only takes 1 hour to get there by high-speed suspension train. Lin Luoran doesn't have a personal computer, so she secretly gets on the train with a mini-world. She can integrate into the current world faster by getting along with ordinary people, so she doesn't bother to fly to Juzhou. 1 hour later, the train precisely stops at the Juzhou platform. There are many more skyscrapers here than in Yeyang district near Mount June. When she gets off the train, she still vaguely sees the teenager she met in the library yesterday. It's fate. Seeing that the teenager is in a hurry, she doesn't greet him. She transfers to the trading market the old way. There are people selling meat, eggs, weapons, and vegetables. Lin Luoran looks around for a while and gets a general idea of the current prices. It turns out that there are people selling weapons here. Lin Luoran is a little disappointed when she picks up the so-called spirit gun. It is just a simple energy conversion weapon. It is not a pistol designed by her and Lu Zheng in the past, which is engraved with spirit circles and directly absorbs Reiki of the 5 elements between heaven and earth. Well, since the cultivators on the earth are all gone, who will enchant the real spirit weapons? 300 years later, even if there are real spirit weapons in the world, they are left in the early years. Lin Luoran puts down the spirit weapon disappointedly. A sneaky businessman has long noticed that Lin Luoran's clothes are real silk instead of synthetic fibers. He swallows and feels that he may make a fortune today. He takes the initiative to go to Lin Luoran and asks her what she needs. Lin Luoran casually talks with him, and he is more sure that she is a big customer. The businessman takes the initiative to invite Lin Luoran to the cold drink shop inside the market. After the ozone layer disappears, the Earth's temperature rises unreasonably. Even in Dongting City protected by the energy shield, it can only isolate ultraviolet rays. In fact, the temperature is like summer all year round, so cold drinks have become a habit for everyone. Cold drinks are opened in every corner of Dongting City. My surname is Zhang. How should I address you, madam? Lin Luoran looks at the mango ice that Mr. Zheng invites her to drink. She tastes the taste of mango at the first sip. She really can't stand the expression of, "This is very expensive," on Mr. Zheng's face. She only takes a sip and gets to the point. I need an all-star personal computer. Mr. Zheng is stunned and squeezes out a smile. Madam, are you kidding? If you want to change a personal computer, you have to go to the city hall. He unnaturally touches the personal computer on his wrist, which is similar to a watch. His smile hides a trace of uneasiness. Lin Luoran doesn't distinguish it. She just takes out an inner bolus of mutant beast and puts it on the table. Mr. Zheng picks up the inner bolus and glances at it. He is a little excited when he sees the value approaching 80. However, he still pretends that it is very difficult. Lin Luoran takes out another one. This time it is 85. Seeing the greed flashing in Mr. Zheng's eyes, Lin Luoran sneers. She reaches out and pokes on the alloy table of the cold drink shop. A deep hole with the length of half a finger appears. The greed in Mr. Zheng's eyes turns into shock. Mr. Zheng, I hunted these 2 inner boluses myself. Power is the last word wherever you go. Mr. Zheng finally decides to stop squeezing more benefits. He puts away the 2 beads and hands Lin Luoran a rare paper business card. According to your needs, the personal computer can be collected at this time tomorrow at this address. I am honest and trustworthy. Lin Luoran nods. She can catch the person she planted her spiritual mind on even if he goes to the moon. Therefore, she doesn't need to worry about Mr. Zheng's tricks. After paying the bill, they walk out of the cold drink shop together. As soon as the elevator door opens, a person rushes in rashly. He says sorry, but before he looks up, Lin Luoran has already smiled. It is the teenager who borrowed her personal computer to read books in the library yesterday. Lin Luoran sees him 3 times in 2 days. It is really fate. The teenager obviously also recognizes her. After a slight daze, he hears footsteps coming from the corridor. His face changes and he disappears after closing the elevator door. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.